Commission meeting to order. The date is December 12th, 2024. Karen, if you would please do a roll call of everyone present.
Commissioner Dorito,
Present.
Commissioner Lori,
Present.
Commissioner Burton,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Present.
Mayor Myers,
Present.
Interim City Manager Michael Berthelot.
Here.
I'm here. CRA Manager Christina Marie.
Here.
Finance Director Steve Coughlin.
Here.
Putnam County Sheriff's Office David Usry.
Here.
Is that
Lieutenant Dwyer.
Lieutenant
Sorry.
DePiero?
Present.
And, City Attorney Donald Holmes.
Everyone's present right now. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. Everyone looks very festive. Looks like it's Christmas. And with that, Commissioner Moore, if you would please, if you'll lead us in our invitation, stand if you're able.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you once again for allowing us to come together. We thank you for your mercy and your peace. We ask that you guide us tonight. Give us understanding and knowledge that we might be able to do your will. Help us to be workers of your people. And help us, Lord, to do those things that are pleasing in your sight. And we'll ever praise you and magnify your name. All these blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, as we get started, I want to make a couple of announcements. Coming up, Thursday, December 19th, is the holiday potluck with the Fruitland Peninsula Historical Society. It's at 4 to 6 on at the Crescent City Women's Club. It says bring a friend or a neighbor, and also please bring a side dish or a dessert. RSVP to events at fphistory.com. That's always a wonderful afternoon event. A lot of good fellowship and always some great food. So please, if you're able, make sure to get there. Also, book signing that day is going to be Bob Lee. He's Bones and Water, and he will be at the Crescent City Women's Club from 3 to 5 on December 19th. Signing books. They sell for $20, cash, check, or credit card, but cash is always preferred. All profits go to the Fruitland Peninsula Historical Society. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for doing that. It's a puzzling, endangered marine mammal death leads Florida Game Warden Jake Hawkins to investigate a shocking wildlife crime into the backcountry sense of justice that can only end in violence.
It's the first picture.
First fiction, that's very intriguing. And of course, our Women's Club, they have their Bunko, which is the third Wednesday of each month. They'll be meeting December 18th of this month from 1 to 3. The cost is $6. Snacks and drinks will be available for a minimal charge. I've heard it's a lot of fun. Everyone should try to show up. And they've also got bingo, and that's December 20th. The payout this time is $50. Tickets are available at the door. All winners will be paid with local gift certificates, and that usually it starts at 5, with bingo starting about 5:30 or 5:45. They do also have dinner available. So we've got a lot going on still in December. We had a lot happening this last weekend, so I don't know how many of you were here, but a lot of thank yous go out. First, I'll start with the parade. We had an incredible outpour of people participating in the parade. Miriam Braddock, I thank you so much for assisting with that. It was nothing but accolades from everyone. It flowed nicely and everyone was joyful and it was a good time. And then our downtown partnership, they hosted our holiday market, which was well attended. And we had some great vendors out there and Santa Claus as well. And then we had the light up. And the crowd at the light up, every year grows more and more. They were out of hot chocolate by 5:15, which just says how many people were there. It was just a great evening, great day here in Crescent City. And, all of this is done from volunteers, a lot of volunteers. And, accolades to those that helped with the lighting of the trees. Steve and Cindy Kenworthy, they were very, very instrumental in this. So was Lisa Roddenberry, Liz Gomez, Mary was out there. We had so many people out there willing to volunteer and help. And it's a labor of love. But if you were there that evening, and the next evening when I went and turned the lights back on and the people were standing around in the park, it's very rewarding because you know why you're out there doing what you do. Because everybody enjoys it. And I've heard from so many people already that how much they've enjoyed driving through town. It's that time of the year. So I just have to say a big thank you to everyone that's been involved with that. I also know that we've got, Ms. Snyder, don't we have the Concerned Citizens Gala?
The Christmas Gala.
The Christmas
December
Gala is
14th,
the
this Saturday.
14th. It's this Saturday evening, what, 7 o'clock?
6 o'clock doors open.
Okay,
It starts at 6:30.
6:30.
And the tickets are $50 each.
And they have a spread, and it's a wonderful opportunity to get dressed up. You can go get a little fancy. And it's always a good time to be had by all. With that, I just thank everyone for being here this evening. I thank you all for what you do here in Crescent City on behalf of myself and the commission. You're making us sparkle, and everybody appreciates it. So thank you for that. And with that, let's go into our approval of the minutes. Commissioners, you have before you October 15th, 2024, regular minutes, the October 15th, 2024 CRA minutes, November 12th, 2024 regular minutes, November 12th, 2024 CRA minutes.
I move to accept the meeting minutes with any corrections for the regular and CRA October 15th meetings and the regular and CRA November 12th meetings.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or corrections?
Well, didn't Commissioner Lori send out corrections?
Yes.
He did, and I did
There
too.
are-
I did too. So
I didn't get any from the mayor.
I didn't send them to you. Karen did.
Well, I mean, I didn't get any,
Okay.
but I only got one set that I saw.
It should be in your email.
Did you go over, have you had a chance to look at any of his suggestions?
I did, and I just have one question about. The November 12th meeting on page 3, under code enforcement release of liens. It just says we approve the release of code enforcement liens on the properties listed. It doesn't mention what those properties are in the minutes. Would it be better to list the properties in the minutes where we release the liens?
Is that necessary? Is that the pleasure of the commission?
Yes, that's your pleasure, your
Okay, it would be at the pleasure of the commission. If you'd like to add that, Commissioner DeVito, as one of the changes.
I would, I think
Okay,
that would
that's
be
fine.
helpful.
Do you have anything else?
No.
That's it? Okay, Commissioner, do we have anything else? Any other changes? We have nothing. Karen, if you would please, I'll just go ahead. Everyone, we have a proper motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Minutes are so approved. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. I do want to add, and that was an omission on my side, I apologize, but also a big shout out to our if you see our Crescent City staff, Ronnie, Cecil, Margarito, Kevin, please, by all means, just give them a big thank you. Those thank yous go a long ways. They were most instrumental in getting all of the lights taken care of, and Ronnie especially, he does, a lot, and on Saturday, he was running around all over the place trying to take care of things. So if you see him out there working, just please give them a big thanks. And also our sheriff's department, we were so appreciative of all that you did, Captain Ussery. The organization that you provided was tremendous. To my knowledge, we had no issues, no incidents. You and also our fire chief and our fire department. So please, if y'all get a chance, thank them as well. And with that, I'm going to open it up for a public comment at this time. I only have one speaker that has requested, that's Diane Sykes. Ms. Sykes, if you would please come forward, state your name and your address, if you will. Karen, if you would.
Diane Sykes, Crescent City, Florida. I just have a question, and it might be addressed during the business item, downtown partnership request for the first installment. I thought downtown partnership was supposed to be self-supporting after the first 2 years.
We'll address that. We can address that when we go to that later on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Do we have anybody else that would like to come forward that has anything to say? Yes, ma'am. You would please state your name and your address, if you will, and also for those of you, there was a copy made of some correspondence that you left at the clerk's desk.
Right here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what it's about.
Okay, if you want to state your name, you want to state your name and your address, if you please.
Okay, Pat Langen and South Prospect Street. I've had many times lately because we have a nice water leak on my property and I cannot get through to City Hall. Dead phone. I even have the number from Miss Berry, dead. I come up there, oh, we have problems with our phone. Ongoing, they try to fix it. I seem to think this should be sort of a priority. You can't reach anybody in City Hall. You have a website, if anybody's interested in looking at your lovely tree lights, they can't get through to find out anything. So it's an ongoing thing, and I think you should address it and fix it. It's important. The other thing is the parade. I happen to volunteer at the Presbyterian Silver Tea. The parade was always at 12 o'clock. This year it was changed to 1 o'clock. That tradition is over 125 years old.
Of the parade being at 12 o'clock?
No,
Okay, I just want to make clear.
the Silver Tea from 9 to 2 is a 125-year-old tradition. It's not more, I'm not quite sure. The people go to the parade and then they will come down to us to celebrate and to partake in all those wonderful goodies that everybody made and all the home craft good. Well, because your parade was so long, I hate to say it, but it took a good dent into the proceeds that we might have gotten. And I'm pretty sure it's because of the change of time, because they were lined up for the parade when it's 12 o'clock. So I would hope that consideration would be given to other activities that are going on in town that we could all partake. Thank you.
Thank you. And the parade was moved out of consideration in hopes that people would go to the Presbyterian church first. And it wouldn't get in the way because we've had complaints in the past that the parade runs right in the middle of the tea. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. So with that, do we have any, yes?
I have one thing to say, just as a citizen, not really as a commissioner. But I would like to thank Ms. Braddock. I would like to thank Steve and Cindy I would like to thank Captain Ussery. The parade was wonderful, and it went on without a hitch. And those, you know, Mary did an excellent job just moving things along, and very much appreciated. So did a very nice job, and of course, I love your Chevrolet, you know, this is good. So, thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers with public comment? If not, I'll go ahead and close out public comment at this time. We had on the sheriff's report, so Captain Ussery. I do want to share that we had a previous, agenda go out, and it had listed after the sheriff's report, the proclamation for Commissioner Banks. Unfortunately, he could not be here. He said he will be here in January.
Good evening,
All
everyone.
yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry about the projector. I'm gonna have to come down here at some point and figure out what's going on with it, but we can't read the numbers and stuff on it still, so I'll come down tomorrow and see if I can't get that rectified that way next time we get.
New glasses, maybe?
Well, that's because I'm looking close up. If I get on the board, I'd be able to see a long way, but I have to, looking close up, I'm able to, I can see far, but not near.
Okay.
So if you'll follow along here, the first thing we had was, we have an active burglary at, a business just south of here, right next to Baja Taco. Someone went into that business and stole some change out of the cash register. Unfortunately, we have suspects at this time. However, we had an eyewitness to it that does not want to cooperate with us, told us who it was, so we can't do anything with that. Because they don't want to come forward and be part of the investigation, and this isn't the first time it's happened, and I'll talk about that later. So other than that, that's still an active investigation, and we are actively working. Second one, you'll see there's the traffic crashes. Yes, it is true. First one was a traffic crash at North Summit and Palm. Vehicle was turning on Palm, vehicle was traveling down Summit, and didn't see the car in front of him and struck the rear. Second one, motorcycle was coming down Summit Street and claimed that as he approached Junction, someone ran him off the road and he hit a power pole. There was no contact with another vehicle, but he ran off the road and hit a pole. The last one there was another one at Summit and Palm, where the vehicle was traveling on Summit, and the vehicle was turned on Palm. The vehicle behind the car turned on Palm, struck one in the rear. Any questions on those?
Commissioner, any questions?
Yeah, what do we need to do about that? It seems like it's all in one spot here. Is there something that we might be able to do to?
All that construction and everything that's going on, and it's just it's a happenstance. I mean, I don't think I've ever, since we've had law enforcement services here, have I been in 1 month have something at the same location. I think it was just a snafu.
Well, there's a.
But we work traffic everywhere. If you actually look in the women's club there, usually that's where the deputies will sit at, because that intersection at 308 there and 17 is horrible.
Yeah.
It's just a long stretch, and basically what happens is everybody comes together right there, and they try to hurry up to get ahead, and the cars that are turning don't realize how far they have to go to get across there. By the time they get across there, that's usually where they get struck at.
Okay.
That's where I think that we really need to, I know we just pound DOT on that, but having stood out there for several hours every day, 3 of us did, you really see what's going on, and that is a very dangerous intersection,
It is.
very dangerous intersection. I avoid it if I can, having to.
Do you take the road across?
Next, there are your general activities. That's the calls for service and things like that. So you had a total of 257 calls for service in the city. 88 of those were traffic stops, 3 traffic accidents, 13 total reports, which 8 of those 13 were drug cases, 8 arrests total, and 2 warrant affidavits were charges we filed with the state attorney's office for prosecution.
There's the traffic stops. Is that you stopping people for speeding
Anything.
or anything like
If
that?
you notice, they were a little higher this month. It's because when that pattern struck. So when we had I believe we had some car tires stolen and something else right before the beginning of the month there, where when a pattern strikes, it preempts our street crimes unit and our crime suppression unit to come into that area and saturate that area. So that's why you see the increased numbers.
Yeah.
So you had a lot more law enforcement presence in Credit City because of those two like crimes being in such a close location, proximity to each other. The next there, you see your 6-month crimes comparisons, we're down 600% in crime in Crescent City, from 5 to 1. So, which is good. So I've got a couple more things I gotta go over. Any questions so far on what we have here?
Commissioners, yes, Commissioner
I have
DeVito.
one question. So in November, the jump up to 257 for calls for service, is that a seasonal increase, do you think, or?
If you look at the different numbers in the traffic stops, that has a lot to do with it. You see the traffic stops went from 50-something to 80-something, so that was another.
Yeah,
almost 40.
32 more.
Yeah, that was another 30 calls for service, so really, in Crescent City, it's up and down.
Or just up and down? And then just the motorcyclist who hit the utility pole, was he injured?
From what I understand, no, it was not transported. No.
Good news, thank you.
Any questions on that?
Any other questions?
2 topics, I know everybody heard about the fire at the park. I know that's for next month, but we're talking about that kind of now over on Grove Street, where some kids, once again, were witnessed setting fire to the playground there, the plastic playground.
You have
And again-
pictures, if any of you have
I
pictures
don't
that
hate to
you
say
want.
this again, but again, that person does not want to, is in fear of retaliation, so does not want to identify themselves, therefore we can't identify suspects there. We know who they are, but we're working on, that's an active investigation, and we are working to solve said crime.
I have one question there.
Yes.
What time of day did this happen?
It was right, if I'm not mistaken, it was right before dusk. So it'd be when the park, just about when the park would be closing, is when it took place.
I was there at 7-ish, 7. It was right, I think just before 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Right around 6 o'clock.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Another thing I need to go over is we are working a shooting investigation right now on the north side of Crescent City, off of, forgive me here, it's right behind Winn-Dixie. William Street. There was we're not sure the exact circumstances right now, but our victim is okay, no one was injured. We believe it is some retaliatory violence from something that happened down in Volusia County, where there was a homicide. And we thought that was, at first, we knew that there was gonna be some retaliation because of that, but then everything kind of got squashed, is what our intelligence was telling us. Well, that somehow spiked again, and over on Williams Lane, there was some exchange of gunfire toward the house. The victim then, they left that location. The victim gave chase, and another exchange of gunfire was on 308 Union. Luckily, our street crime unit was doing an operation that night here around Crescent City, so we have multiple units here. I want to say there were 13 responding officers there. They were there within minutes, and we think we have located the possible suspect vehicle, but that is an active investigation, and we do have persons of interest in that case. There is no threat to the public. This is the target active violence.
Yeah, I do want to bring up that, and we've talked about this, Captain, cameras. If we'd had a camera right there, we would have known exactly who did it, how they did it.
Or they may not have.
Huh?
Or they may not have.
Or they may not have done it, you know, and it's sad. I mean, I wish we could put a sign up there that said, you know, unusable due to vandalism. You know, because that was that was nice for the little ones. You see the little ones out there using that a lot.
Absolutely.
And it was just really sad that they did that. And so I think that commissioners, we've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. Cameras, we've got to get cameras. I feel like we have to get cameras in our parks.
But I think the first thing, and we're gonna talk about this tonight, a little further down the line, the first thing that we have to do is get Wi-Fi into our
Yeah,
parks so that
yes.
we can get the cameras into the park. And once and if, that happens, we need to sit down with you to understand what type of cameras we actually need. You know, we don't wanna go to Walmart and buy whatever. We wanna make sure that there are very specific cameras that can actually look at people, figure out what's going on, and get a list of the costs and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really important that we get it done.
And
I've been talking that for a long time. We all have.
Commissioner.
I would just offer that I can speak to that. That you gave the information to Charles Rudd, about the, was it Project New Orleans or something, I forgot the name of it. And he shared the link with me. So it actually is, the cameras don't actually cost any money. It's bought by a nonprofit and we just have to pay the subscription for it. So they're amazing cameras. I mean, they're like $2,000 cameras.
Not just that, but they also have an outfit that monitors those cameras. You pay them, they monitor those cameras 24 hours a day, and the people that sit behind those cameras, if they catch somebody doing something wrong, they actually get incentives. So they get a hand from the company. So in essence, you see somebody there fixing to do vandalism, they said, hey, this guy's trying to light a park on fire, let me call the cops. He calls the cops, they get there, we catch the guys, they give them a $500 bonus.
Well, you need to be bringing this to the commission, because this is the first thing I'm doing. Okay, if you're just putting it over here on a desk and nobody else is seeing it, it's not being.
Well, he mentioned it here in one of the commission meetings.
But I don't think I got the whole just.
Yeah, so that was something I was working closely with Charles on, and unfortunately, we know where he's at. And, that's where it kind of stopped again. So it's time to readdress it again, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time with you that we can get the ball rolling again and not have to start over.
Well, yeah, that was just uncalled for.
Yeah.
And that would have been a felony, correct? For vandalism because of the dollar amount for that, for arson. We have that in our bathrooms, that's another thing, Captain Messer. With our bathrooms, we've done it in the past. It's turning dark earlier, colder. Your thoughts on us locking up the bathrooms again? In the evenings?
Yes.
Lock them up.
It's labor intensive for our people, they lock them and unlock them, but, Saturday, we had them all clean, Friday, we had them all clean, opened them up Saturday morning, he opened them up Saturday morning, and within an hour, they had destroyed, torn the toilet seat off, there was feces all over everywhere. And so, that's just,
That may happen during the day.
it might happen
being
during the
open
day,
too,
but
it
it
would
might.
be nice to, if, again, we can get some cameras out there and see what's going on, and maybe we can figure it all out.
So that's something, commissioners, we need to probably, talk about that, or go ahead and take some action on, that we need to go ahead and start locking up our bathrooms in the evening.
And that was some discussion, actually Karen reached out to me and was expressing, that she was looking at getting the Wi-Fi service to the
Yeah,
location.
she is. It's later on the agenda.
If I could,
Commissioner DeVito.
so which bathrooms were cleaned? and then-
Eagle Line,
Okay, and this was during the day or evening?
it happened, they cleaned them Friday for the event on Saturday, they locked them up when they got done, and as soon as they opened them up early Saturday morning,
In the morning?
somebody went in there and they're not gonna prevent it from locking them up at night if they're gonna go in during the day, but at least at night, I know that they lock themselves in there also in the evenings, and they've had some issues in the mornings with trying to get the bathrooms unlocked because people have locked themselves in the bathrooms overnight. So, it's ongoing, They also turn over portalettes,
Or throw them in the river.
or throw them in, so anyway. Do we have any other questions for the captain? Thank you, Captain. And your new,
Yes. my new
Location,
office is-
yes.
We're not up and going yet, but I've got to get some signage put up, we've got to get the Wi-Fi access, things like that, so we get our printers and stuff hooked up, and we're in the transitioning process now, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really
excited.
yeah, great. Oh, it's
It's
I got a nice table.
It's beautiful, yeah, he's,
If you want to come look at it.
and I know you got a nice table, I know. We're glad, we're excited about that for us and for y'all. I think making you more visible will be a true benefit to everyone. So, thank you.
Welcome. And on a side note, very good on the parade was awesome. I think this is probably the best year we've had yet. So, where I live up, the home and everything, how we were able to block traffic off, everything worked perfect.
Everything
Did over that next year.
If I could just make one comment, and in the end of it, down there in Lemon, where Lemon and the bank, or the churches, you need to have someone down there, because there's some people that get, somehow pull out and then start coming the other way. And I was down there directing the parade traffic to tell them which way to go, because they didn't know where to go. And so if I had been down there, I mean, people were just going all over the place. But I stayed down there to keep the parade floats moving in the right direction. And then I went down Lemon Street, and there was a semi coming up Lemon, trying to turn left on the main street. And he didn't make it. He was gonna take out the power pole there. But he finally backed up, and I just told him to go straight down Lemon, the wrong way to turn, and that was fine. But there just needs, last year I was down there too, and the same thing had happened. There wasn't anybody at the end of the parade route, kind of making sure that everybody went the right way.
Volunteers. I had,
Yeah,
I
the
believe,
fire chief, he and Jeff were down there.
yeah, I believe my total number of deputies during that whole thing was 13. So that tells you how many intersections we had to take care of.
I mean, there was, like, someone would come down there for a few minutes and then leave, and so I just stayed down there and helped.
Well, thank you for doing that.
I mean, it's,
Thank you.
I had a wheelchair, pretty much, they won't run me over. It worked out, it was great, it was well fun.
It was. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, at this time, we've got the public hearing. We've got our first reading of ordinance 2024-16. I'm gonna turn that over to Michael.
Don has to read it.
I know Don has to read it, but Michael, or Don, you can go ahead and read it. And we can ask questions.
By title only?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance of the city of Crescent City, Florida, authorizing participation in the local government surplus funds trust fund, Florida Prime, closed paren, and providing for an effective date.
Michael, you want to talk about
Good evening, Commissioners. This particular ordinance is in regards to investment option available to the city through Florida Prime. This Florida Prime was created by the state back in 1997 as a means for local governments in special, independent special districts and non-independent special districts to invest accumulated funds for investment into this fund through the State Board of Administration. The State Board of Administration already has a division called the Florida Retirement System, which, if you're a Florida Retirement System employee, is involved in the pension. So the state, through this department, has a lot of oversight of financial investments. And so we started looking at options to invest what's been accumulated as carry forward balances into the general fund with the current amount of about $1 million. So we looked at what options could be out there, everything ranging from posting into a bank and CDs to putting into a checking account to Florida Prime. And so through our investigation, we believe that Florida Prime is the best option for the investment of these funds or a portion therein, which staff can recommend a portion therein. And we have some background information in your package about Florida Prime and all the information that's provided through the state.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion to pass the first reading of ordinance 2024-16, authorization to participate in the local government surplus fund, trust fund Florida Prime, and providing for an effective date.
Second.
I have a proper motion and a second. Commissioners, do we have any comments, any discussion? Commissioner DeVito.
Sorry, Commissioner Ward sounded like he had
Go ahead.
a question. No, that's all right. Well, I have several questions about this, and some of them, I think you saw the questions I sent to the city manager. I mean, one just occurred to me now. So is this resolution, is this a standard form resolution that's provided by Florida Prime?
Yes, it is. This is a form that, in the form of an ordinance, or it could be in the form of a resolution, that was prepared initially by the state legislature back in 1997, and then it's been used ever since for local governments. And it would simply authorize participation into the Florida Prime.
Well, also besides the fact that we really don't have these recommendations in writing, I'll get to
What do
that
you
in a
mean, the
minute.
recommendation in writing?
I'll get to that. The why, there's not, there's nothing in writing. So, the resolution, section 1B, authorizes our director of finance, to both transmit funds and to withdraw funds. Okay, and also to, execute a participant account maintenance form that would list other authorized representatives, to initiate transactions and account wiring instructions. So my question is, there's nothing in this ordinance that says how much money would be invested. And as well, it doesn't, it seems to me, under our charter, we require specific authorization of funds. So we would just be leaving how much money to invest completely up to the director of finance, which I'm not really comfortable with. And also the director of finance could, there's no direction or instruction, or requirement of approval by the city commission on who the other authorized representatives would be.
I believe, Mr. Billhart, you wanna, I know you made a recommendation, and I believe you did that, put that in your follow-up, didn't he, put that in your follow-up? Did you read through that?
Yes, but I mean, I think it's important.
Okay, go ahead, you want?
Yes, for the second reading, we can have that information included within the ordinance. That would stipulate the authorization and the amount that we would recommend. And that recommended amount would be $750,000. And the rationale behind that is, even though there's $1 million available, we don't know exactly what kind of emergencies could happen in 2025 or 2026. And so we would like to have a little bit of a cash cushion accordingly. And then at the end or during the middle of that fiscal year, you could look at how things are going regarding revenue and expenditures and make recommendations at the end of next year as to any additional that you would want to put into that account.
So my, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna mention that, I mean, I don't think that we need to put the amount in the ordinance.
Okay, locks us in.
Yeah, it locks us in so every time we wanna change the amount, we'd have to pass an ordinance. That seems, needlessly, intensive. But if we establish, I mean, if we pass this ordinance and then we make a motion to, institute those amounts, and the fact that, we don't need to change, hopefully Steve is not gonna leave us anytime soon. But if we put his name in there, then we'd have to change the ordinance again if we had a new finance director. I mean, we can just direct those things by motion, and then that way he can carry those out.
Right, you could put some language in here if it gives, I believe, Mr. Holmes, we could put a language as, an amount as approved by the commission.
Agreed. Yeah, you already have some language in there that states in the third sentence is further authorized to withdraw funds from time to time. So I think you could use that same or equivalent language with regard to investment. So they're authorized to transmit funds for investment from time to time, comma, upon specific direction by the county city commission on motion, that sort of thing. So this could be, and I agree with Commissioner Laurie, this could sort of be the enabling legislation since it is an ordinance. And then your individual transactions could be authorized on an item-by-item basis as a need arises on recommendation from your finance director or city manager. What I would recommend too. Also agree that it would be, in my opinion, a bit stilted to put the specific amount in the ordinance and have to do a new ordinance each time you wanted to invest or withdraw
Mayor.
funds.
Mayor, I wasn't suggesting we put it in the ordinance. That was my suggestion, that we simply say we have to authorize the amounts at some point.
Okay, I'm
and it
sorry,
has
I
to be
didn't hear
subject
you
to-
say, I never heard you say that you were concerned about the amount, and the amount had not been given to you, so.
No,
But
but
you're comfortable with that language being added in there, as Mr. Holmes was?
well, I certainly think that amounts should be authorized by the city commission. And as well, authorized representatives should be authorized by the city commission.
Okay.
And then as well, if we have an absence of the finance director, then we don't have anyone, I don't know. We don't have anyone who can change this. But,
So could we, I would think it would be the finance director and the city manager. So it would be the finance director first with the city manager. Is everyone in agreement that the city manager should be included in this? Okay. So do you want to change, we could have that language for the second reading? Commissioner DeVito, is that suitable?
that would be an improvement, yes.
Is it?
Yes. I mean, I don't have any language in front of me, but that would be an improvement, yes.
Do we have any other discussion?
I wanted to mention the fact that, I read through all that information that we got, it was very, fun. Now, I love how it always says that, future, they can't guarantee future results, but this is a very stable, very, it is kind of the standard vehicle for local governments to use. I mean, I don't know why we haven't used this before, but, and also the fact that, we want to make sure that the money's available for liquidity, but, I mean, unless even if there's an emergency, a terrorist attack or something like that, they would limit the withdrawal to 48 hours or something, so it's not like you can't get, that's one of our biggest concerns, is making sure that money's available, so we can get to this money, it will always be, but gives us interest, because we haven't had that money's been sitting there and basically losing value over time, because inflation makes money worth less, so, we've been losing money for years, and we need to get this somewhere that it is making money, for us to make up for that.
Commissioner, just to follow up on that, the staff at Florida Prime told me that a lot of municipalities lose cash immediately. So as an example, they can contact them on a Monday morning, and by late Monday afternoon, it will be in their checking account, returned back at no penalty.
Yeah.
Versus if you put money into a CD, let's say $1 million, you'd have to take it out, there is a 5% minimum.
Yeah, big penalty. And I mean, it was, wire transfers were redone the same day before 1 o'clock, and ACH transfers will the next day if they're done by 1 o'clock. So I mean, to me, that felt like that was very secure and very accessible, and seems like the right thing to do. We need to just get this done. And I just think that doing the motion to authorize the money, because, Steve should be able to access that if he needs to make liquidity, and not have to wait until a monthly meeting for us. So as long as we do it up to amount, I think that would be fine for me.
Everyone, any other, before I open it up to public comment, Commissioner DeVito?
Yes, I agree, we have been trying, the prior finance director suggested that our reserve be invested, and we have been asking for an investment instrument for quite a while, so thank you, Michael, for bringing this forward. But I would feel more comfortable if, at the time of second reading, we had a written memo in response to my question. So I said, who is the staff recommending this? If we had a written memo from the staff recommending it, which apparently is Ms. Brillhart, the CPA, and our finance director, if we had a written memo saying why this is the best option, and as well explaining any risks that are there. I just think that when we're investing our reserve funds, we ought to have that on file and available for us and the public. I think that would be very helpful.
Okay, at this time, if there's no further questions from the commission, I'm gonna open it up for public comment. If you, would like to comment on this, please come forward, state your name and your address if you please. Ms. Sykes, you had put on there for everything, you're
Well, I
good.
didn't know what was gonna be said, so I didn't know if I had a comment.
What?
I didn't know what was gonna be said, so I didn't know if I would have a
Okay, okay, so you have no comment.
And I agree with Ms. DeVito, I'd like some assurance that we can't lose money on our.
Oh, we can't give you an assurance, we won't lose money. Correct, Mr. Billhart? That's not what Commissioner DeVito is
It's,
stating.
it's handled very similar to stocks and bonds in that the state implements 44% of the fund to 15 international banks, including 5 or 6 in the United States, and the remainder in the Fortune 500 trust fund. So on any given day, there could be a loss, but the managers then take funds and put it into those that on any given day in the stock market are going up. So that they try, as stated within this particular information, a dollar leveling out. So they want to obviously earn money. But unfortunately, there are some days when it may lose money. But at the end of the year, there's always, or has been over the last 5 years, a percentage increase. This year, it's around 5%.
And Mayor, also, in addition, I saw Mr. Brohart shake his head yes, or nod his head yes. Actually, the background information on Florida Prime was in our packet at a prior meeting, but not this meeting. And it would be my request that on second reading, that information that was sent to us be in the packet, so the public can read what we got and have it
Okay,
together
Karen, we'll
with
make
second
sure
readings.
that's in the next agenda. Okay. Anything else? So we have no other speakers coming forward. With that, I'll close out public comment. Commissioners, we currently have a proper motion and a second in front of us. Karen, if you would do a roll call, please.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, so approved on this first reading. Commission, I'm also going to ask you at this time, we probably need a motion for the amount to be invested. If I will entertain a motion.
We're going to do that or wait till second.
We can do it now. We can do it now and have it,
Written into the second?
no, we're not gonna write it into, but as approved by the commission. So we'll have that language in there.
Didn't we have something saying about 700?
750 is what he is recommending. Commissioner DeVito is concerned because we don't have anything. And if we put that into this new language that's going into the second reading, we will need a motion stating how much that we're approving going into that.
But we just have a written memo that next month.
Then you can do that, you can accept that if you want to, if you'll make sure you include that amount in your written memo, Mr. Billhart.
So we don't need a motion?
Yes.
I don't think
Okay, then we'll wait till the next, just make sure he's gonna put that in there so that we know for a fact that that's been approved. And with that, at this time, we've changed the schedule a little bit. I'm gonna recess the commission meeting. I'm gonna open up our CRA. And so,
Mayor, I have a dumb question.
yes,
Are we supposed to notice our CRA meeting? Was the CRA meeting noticed? Does it have to be noticed?
it's the agenda items on there. The agenda items on there, we're just opening up as CRA, so.
So do you have a separate CRA meeting from your city commission meeting?
Well, when we sit as the CRA board, a recess, we go into as the board, and then we go back into the regular commission meeting.
Well, it's technically noticed.
The agenda items are all noticed.
I get that. I think that since you are sitting as a separate board, it probably would be the better practice to have a separate CRA notice. because it is a separate board. You have an agenda for your city commission, and it includes under your business item CRA discussion. So I understand what you're doing is closing out your meeting as a commission and then opening a meeting as your CRA. But for form, I would have recommended for the future. I don't think you're committing any foul by moving forward because it is on your agenda. It's published, it's noticed. But for future reference, I think you should have a separate CRA notice.
And the top of our agendas even says regular/CRA meeting, even though this one didn't have the.
It does, yeah,
Yeah, it's
it
gonna
does say regular
It does say that.
stuff. So commissioners, I'm gonna, at your pleasure, so do we wanna go forward?
So basically, we have a separate, okay, so she says, okay, we're having a regular meeting, right? So there's one cost. And then a separate cost to say that we are having a CRA meeting on the same night. We can't put those together and say the regular meeting and the CRA meeting would be on that night?
Yeah, I'm not saying that the form, I just think it would be helpful to differentiate between the notice of your commission meeting and your CRA meeting. I'm not saying you can't do it on the same notice
Okay.
or in the
Okay.
same document.
I just want to make that clear that we're not doing two separate, because it sounds like you wanted a separate. Okay.
I do want them separate, but I didn't say you had to have two
I
separate
just wanted, yeah, I understand that now,
publications or whatever the case might be. I just think you ought to differentiate since you're acting as two boards.
Right, no, and I understand it. My logic says when you said separate, I would separate, boom, one and then the other, but.
So
We can put it
commissioners,
together, I'm fine with
commissioners,
that.
at your pleasure, if you want to go forward with the CRA, agenda items.
And I don't think there's harm in it. I don't. It's agenda, notice went out. As you indicated, the top of your agenda says CRA/commission meeting.
Yes.
So I'm not asking that you
Okay,
delete this item from your agenda or not have a discussion. I'm not asking that.
everyone, Commissioner Moore, you're comfortable going forward? Yes. Commissioner Burton? Okay, Commissioner Villa?
If Don Holmes says so, then I'm willing to go forward.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, then we're gonna go forward with this. Michael, do you want to, or does Christina present this, the downtown partnership request for the first installment?
No.
What about
We're on
Christine?
the CRA now.
Yeah, we are.
I think I would like to note the record under business items. The first item is the downtown partnership request for the first installment. That should be under our CRA.
Yeah, it's under our CRA.
Oh, on this agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've closed your commission meeting and you've opened
Yeah,
CRA.
We've done that, yes,
I already, yeah, I did take care of that.
we've done
Okay,
Well, I'm
Go
here
for
to
it.
answer any questions. This item was put on the agenda, I think, at the recommendation of one of our commissioners, so, I'll gladly answer anything. Of course, we're in transition at this period. You all may recall, a few months ago, it was voted on that the partnership would become in contract with the city and, starting January 1st. And so that's where we are. January 1st is around the corner. The partnership has acquired space downtown. They'll be moving into their own office space. They are searching for an executive director. I have stepped down as the partnership's executive director, and I chose to stay on as a city employee, working with the CRA and closely with the city manager. So the partnership's moving forward with their hiring process. The state has been informed of that decision, and they're well aware of the transition and what we're doing, and they're excited to see the partnership grow. So that's where we're at, and then I can answer any questions you may have.
I'd just like to say thank you, Christina, for doing this job, first of all, for the last 2 years. Double duty was a lot, and I'm happy that you're staying with the city. We value you, you're an asset, and you really work well with business owners and business property owners, and I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you're staying with us. Not that I wish I will on the downtown partnership, but I'm glad we got you. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lori, I appreciate that, thank you.
so I think what was before us right now is the first of the 4 installments
Yes, ma'am.
as agreed upon at the previous meeting.
Yes.
And that is our contribution to the Main Street program and through the downtown partnership. That is you want to speak to that a little bit from the Main Street perspective and what the state looks for as far as the municipalities.
Yep, well, in order to continue to become an accredited program, they will continue to have to adhere to the quarterly reporting requirements, which every quarter it's reported to Florida Main Street. Any property that's exchanged hands, new businesses that come and go, and of course, our thousands of volunteer hours that our organization logs. The state puts a value to those hours, and they're very impressed by the number of hours that our volunteers have invested since the inception of our program. And the partnership has a work plan for the upcoming year, just as they had since the inception of the program. Our committees have ironed that out, and they're going to continue to work hard for the community and their mission to revitalize downtown.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner DeVito?
I have a couple, just an observation. The downtown partnership does a lot of work. The volunteers do a lot of work. The agreement in the MOU is for them to pursue the 4 points. It's concerned me for a while. I mean, the city is financially providing a portion of partnership support, but what their report sent to the state, is that correct?
Yes, they
Okay.
report to the state.
Right, but we don't get that report. And does the state make a reply back that gives any kind of an evaluation?
Annually, they do. That's an annual evaluation where they grade you based on the point system. But quarterly, no, it's just our job as a documented Main Street organization to report to them quarterly. If we didn't report to them quarterly, we would lose our accreditation.
And we got there.
Yes.
We got the assessment last year.
Right, but I don't know that we got the state response to it.
Yeah.
Did we get
Yeah, we
that?
got all of them.
Yeah.
And every quarter's report too, they send it all to us.
I've not gotten any quarterly report.
I think I did probably not, I've never provided the commission with a report, but going forward, when the partnership requests their installments as part of their request for disbursement, they'll include their quarterly report. Since they'll be requesting their disbursements quarterly, that will be part of the supporting documents, before you expedite payment to them.
And when we got the annual evaluation, we did get the 4 quarters reports also.
Yeah.
Correct, you did get the annual, you always get the annual report.
We haven't made it in quarterly, but
Right.
that's fine. That's interesting.
So, and as well, just to me, I looked at the original application, and commissioners, I've mentioned this before, but I want to share it with you as well. The partnership is supposed to be following the 4-point approach. It seems as if the bulk of the activities are the events, which falls under one category. The events are under promotions, but it's heavily on the events, and I don't really see, and it's more weighted toward the events. I don't see, the strong organization for the community that is talked about, in Article 7. I think that's the bylaws, and as well, says design should address, both the appearance of function of downtown, emphasizing the unique characteristics of the downtown area, maintaining, improving, and reusing downtown buildings, adopt appropriate development standards. One thing that doesn't seem to be given much weight, and this is, I'm also looking now in Article 2, Section 1, is to take, protection and use of Crescent City's traditional downtown area, including the area's commercial, civic, religious enterprises. I think Pat Lincoln spoke to that, and residences. Remedial action to eliminate physical, economic, and social deterioration of the traditional downtown area and thereby promote Crescent City's historic preservation.
What are you looking for, Commissioner DeVito? Because all I'm hearing from you right now is a lot of criticism of an
Okay.
organization that stepped up and has worked very hard to try to do a lot for this community that has not been done in the past. So what are you looking for from them?
Okay, the MOU and the purpose of Main Street says it is for the preservation of the downtown. What I am saying is, and if you don't look at the documents and see what is supposed to happen, then the right thing isn't going to happen. I'm saying that the other activities need more weight in the work plan. Because, and I've mentioned this before, one of the issues in the analysis, Christina did a wonderful application to the state.
Thank you.
And what they asked about was, what is the occupancy rate for the buildings? That really hasn't changed. So what I am saying is, as the partnership does its work plan and undertake its activities, the MOU requires that all 4 points be addressed. And so that's what I'm asking, that they address all 4 points. Because
And
the
they
weight
should.
is toward the events, and they're actually, that's in promotion, there are actually other activities in promotion. I'm just asking that they weight their activities to include all 4 points.
Yes, ma'am, and they strive to do so. We're very mindful of the 4-point approach, and myself and the entire executive committee is, we're very aware of the 4-point approach. It's been something that we've been trained the past 3 years on. And again, they're continuing to grow. And the state and conversations that I've had with other Main Street directors, being that we have an active historical society, that aspect of, historic preservation and things, and those topics are kind of addressed through the historical society.
Well, BJ and I are, sorry, Commissioner Lawyer and I are members of the Historical Society, and our former city manager, Mr. Rudd, said, well, he didn't think the partnership really had to address preservation because we have a historical society. I do not agree with that at all. I don't think you can leave preservation up to the Historical Society because it is part of the 4 points of Main Street.
Yes, ma'am.
And that needs to be, I know, the Historical Society apparently has a person who's on one of the directors, but I think the work plan needs to incorporate that point. That's a point.
Yes, ma'am, we're working towards that, and it has been a topic of discussion.
It's not an easy discussion. I mean, Crescent City, just a second here, Crescent City, has a problem, our historical center, okay, we're trying to do something, down Central. And most all of that is owned by the private sector. We're trying very hard to work with the private sector to bring their interest in, to hopefully preserve some of those particular buildings and hopefully preserve what's there or what's left. And that's been like pulling teeth. But the problem is, we don't have, you have to give the downtown partnership a little leeway here because you gotta spend money to make money. And unfortunately, it's not like we have money bags, in our partnership. I think they do quite well, but on the same hand, historical preservation is very expensive. And we do have Fruitland, Historical Society. We do have, I think they have a board I can't really tell. But what, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know that they're working at it, I know these people, I know that they're trying hard, I know that they're trying to get the people that right now are involved, specifically Central Avenue, down Summit, any place where there is a historical, thing that possibly can happen. I know that they have been trying to work with the private sector to make it happen. Sometimes it's a very difficult thing to do, and I'll just leave it at that.
And I just wanted to interject and point out to Commissioner Trevino that, the 4-point approach is vague in a way because it applies differently to every city and to every main street. And so this is what they've found is working, what they've started with. And I mean, you and I both serve on the board of the Fairfield Peninsula Historical Society, and we do a lot for historic preservation, but we should be partners too with the city, with the CRA, and with the downtown partnership. So I think,
Exactly.
but I think we also have to help them identify some projects that we can work together on
Yes.
and what they could do, because they're obviously not experts in historic preservation. Neither are we, but we can maybe come up with some ideas and work together.
That sounds like a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Exactly.
and I really do want to commend the CCDP for doing, you guys have created something out of nothing. I mean, it was not here before, you were not doing, none of this was going on. It is something that, building anything from the ground up is hard to do. And, you guys are still babies, you're still learning how to walk. And I think that we're all appreciative that they're here though. And you guys, your volunteers work very hard, do a lot of work, and
They work extremely hard.
yes, and I don't wanna, quash that growth. You guys are doing great, so let's just see if perhaps we can work in the future on some other things. And I think that's great, let's just move on.
And on that note, and any collaborations and partnerships that we can do with the Historical Society, we're open to that. We're opening they're opening the new year and have a new fresh work plan. There's ideas for workshops. I know Rachel brought two before us. She'd like Commissioner DeVito to come speak on behalf of historical preservation and grants and other information that you had, knowledge that you have, that you can bring to the table and that we can collaborate in that manner. So, I know they look forward to doing that again. It's been a topic of discussion. And I will say everyone is trying their very best. And I know it looks like everything is very event heavy. That's very common with Main Street because that's the first thing everyone sees. It's out there, it's there, but it's part of the 4-point approach, and the events are very important to continue to drive people to downtown, continue that networking, and continue to let people know that we are on a mission to revitalize downtown Crescent City. We're doing our best.
And I believe that's in the work plan too, for this next year about the pressure washing
Yes, ma'am.
and the various things that you would be doing up and down Central Avenue that will enhance that. I mean, I went to, economic development luncheon today, and we had a speaker. He was outstanding speaker, and he spoke really about municipalities. And the one thing he did say that really resonated with me is that effective leadership brings prosperity. Poor leadership drives it out. And so we here have got to be very careful that as we get these groups in here trying to make Crescent City a better place, that we do everything we can to get behind them and to try to support them as best we possibly can and not discourage them. I know and I encourage each and every one of you to get involved with the Downtown Partnership, to volunteer. They need volunteers. Their volunteers are tired. And the last thing we need is for them to get discouraged or to feel like that we don't support them, because they don't have to do this. And then who suffers? The city suffers, the community suffers. And it's not just our community, it's other communities that come to Crescent City, and then they end up spending their money here. And so we just have to be very cognizant of that. That really resonated with me. And he also said that no matter what, you have to get in and stay in the game. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it is so much easier to throw in the flag and say, we're done, we tried it, it's over with. But it's, we didn't get to this place, and we talked about this before, we didn't get to where we are now overnight, and we're not gonna get out of it overnight. And it's these baby steps that we're taking, and I just commend everyone that has a vision for what we can be. And so, on that, do you have other
I
comments?
do, yes, and, as I've said before, I know what it is to be a volunteer, because I've done it my whole life. That's my whole working life. I've never worked and not been a volunteer, and I'm retired, and I'm still a volunteer. And I volunteer for several of the organizations that make up the leadership of the Downtown Partnership. I'm not criticizing the people who are involved, but if you want to be effective, you have to make sure that you're doing things in the way that is most likely to bring success. So I think it's kind of uncalled for to criticize me because I have observations. People can do what they want with my
I
observations,
didn't
but,
criticize, I said, it sounded like you were criticizing.
well, that's criticism of me, thank
That's
you.
your opinion.
So the commission can do with my recommendations what it wants, and the Downtown Partnership can do what it wants. But I want us to be successful. I remember Central Avenue when it was successful. I shopped here as a 4 and 5 and 6-year-old. So I remember what it was, and I want it to be that way again. So those are my sincere and earnest suggestions, that the activities be more weighted. And as well, I think the heavy weighting toward events is one thing that is exhausting the volunteers. And I speak from experience on that. I think you really need, what was it we said when I did estate planning? Work smart, not hard. And make sure that every activity that you do uses your volunteer resources. And I've been in charge of volunteer recruitment as a volunteer for many organizations. Make sure you use those wisely, and make sure you use your finances wisely. So the other observations I will have, just to be quick about this, is the weighting, and as well, the articles of incorporation provide for members, but it's my understanding that this organization has volunteers, but not members. And the articles of incorporation provide for them. I think that having members, and members can provide financial and volunteer resources. I think having members is something to look at, and is a particular way to draw in the business community, who I understand is not necessarily completely involved. And then to the commission, it was not my preference that we provide a contribution that would cover rent in a separate place. I never understood that recommendation from the city manager, because no department of the city, including the CRA, has a lot of money. And I'm not really sure why we can't provide the in-kind offices, but that's in the MOU, so that's done. But personally, I don't think that's the best use of city CRA money.
Do you want to address that as far as the?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Part of creating the separation between the partnership and the city is them having their own office space. Every Main Street organization in the state has their own office space, generally in their program area. The partnership's acquired that space, and they're gonna be activating a storefront. They'll be downtown, and they'll be open to the public certain hours. And I think you're gonna really like what they're gonna be bringing to the table this next year with activating that space and being more in the open. Them being at the annex, it certainly served its purpose, but they're ready for the next step. They're ready for their own office. And hopefully one day, years down the road, they'll be able to acquire a building of their own and run out of that like several Main Streets do.
And I believe this funding that we're providing, isn't that for salary, is that
Yes.
salary?
Yes, they'll pay their director and any overhead that they have as running a business as usual.
And I encourage each one of you, to go to, the Main Street, any of the Main Street conferences. You learn a lot, they even have, a reduced rate for municipalities, elected officials, because they really encourage elected officials to come to have a better understanding of how they operate. So all of you, I mean, they have them, sometimes they're in DeLand, I don't know where the next one is.
This time of year, do they have them where it's a little warmer?
Commissioner DeVito, do you have any other,
Sure.
observations?
I'm just glad to hear the explanation behind, the partnership moving out to have space separate from the city, because again, we are just not very well informed on this. Explanation has never been provided to us, and I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad the public can hear it, so they can understand, what is the purpose behind the expenditures. I think that's very important, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I would like to move to approve Downtown Partnership's request for their first installment of $12,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? We have, does Mary,
I just want to say that we have been told that before. We were told that when we did the memorandum of understanding. We also did that during the budget process more than once. So I'm not sure when Commissioner Reader didn't hear that, because I've heard it more than once.
I've not seen that, and it was not explained that way. That
Well,
was,
it seems like that, because I'm
okay,
concerned.
okay,
That's fine.
okay.
We have a
you two.
motion and we have a
We have a
second.
motion and a second. I've got this. Thank you.
So I'd like to, have Mary Robbins, the president of the Downtown Partnership. She is prepared to speak this evening, so Mary.
Welcome.
Good evening, I'm Mary Robbins, 508 North Lake Street, and I'm representing the Downtown Partnership. And before we get to the requested funds, I'd like to give you a rundown on what we've done in 2024, but even before that, I'd like to address something that Commissioner DeVito brought up about we are truly event heavy, we understand that, but we've leveraged that. And that is the reason for our donations. We've packaged our events, so our donations and our sponsorships are really supporting these events. $500 to sponsor 4 markets, and our businesses are giving us money, and it's because of those events. So we're probably going to back off a little bit on the events for 2025, a couple fewer. And to your point, we realize we want to get more involved with some of the things in design and economic vitality. What Christina was talking about with what we're trying to do on Central with our own headquarters and having our own retail space there, will add to that. We'll be part of pushing that economic vitality. So what have we accomplished this year? The Downtown Partnership has delivered 14 festivals and market type events for the city. And each one of those brings hundreds of people to our downtown. We've conducted 2 educational workshops for our businesses downtown and for potential business owners. Our volunteers have invested over 2,400 hours this year alone. And that's to bring these festivals and these events to fruition, the beautification projects, the workshops, all of that. And we received just shy of $19,000 in donations and sponsorships I talked about earlier. And that is a demonstration of our residents and our business partners believing in our mission and wanting us to succeed. So, any questions? Okay. So the next line here is to request the funding, our first tranche of funds that will cover our operating expenses for first quarter.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. We currently have a motion and a second on the table. I'm gonna guess, I'm going to open it up for public comment, if we commissioners do not have any other comments. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for public comment, if anybody would like to speak, please come forward, state your name and your address, if you please. Erin?
And Sykes, Crescent City. Mine are more questions. Where would I find the list of officers for the downtown partnership? Are they currently the same officers that were put in place, by Mr. Rudd originally?
No.
Okay, where would I find the list of
You
officers?
would have to probably speak to the downtown partnership.
You can request it from the downtown partnership.
Thank you. And I guess this
Do you want
question,
officers, are you asking for the officers or
yeah,
or for the board members? Officers or board members?
officers. Are there currently, and this is probably a Christine question, what businesses are being courted for the downtown, if any, or are we just waiting for people to come to us to request businesses downtown? And the next question would be, what buildings are available in the downtown corridor for new businesses? And, well, going back to question 2, is there any particular criteria that we have or can we have for businesses downtown? I don't know if that's even legal to
I
say.
think is that more of the that's a CRA question and not a downtown partnership
Oh,
question.
okay.
Is that correct? Is that what you're
Okay.
looking for, is from
Yes.
inventory okay? That would be a CRA question, not necessarily a downtown partnership
Mhm.
question, I believe.
I can answer these questions anytime for you. You can make an appointment, we can sit down and I'll gladly go over with you. But I'm not at liberty to give, information of businesses who potentially want to come to town. But I can give you an idea of what's happening. So
Okay, thank
we
you.
can sit down and talk.
Thank you.
And you can reach out to Downtown Partnership and, I believe, they're good there.
I have here for now.
Ma'am, could Christina tell us for, Ms. Waddles, what is the best way to contact the downtown partnership through their Facebook page? Do they have an email?
They have an active website. They have a Facebook page that they respond to almost instantly via Messenger. But email is usually the best way. And Mary, do you want, your email?
Yeah, that's fine.
I can send you that information, but nonetheless, the partnership's website's the best way. That's www.crescentcitydowntownpartnership.com.
Okay, because Ms. Sykes had asked and other people might want to know and, if they want to volunteer or whatnot.
Yes, we definitely want to increase our volunteer base. We'll be doing more socials and things of that nature, but we definitely need more volunteers and people who want to participate.
Can you say that website one more time?
CrescentCityDowntownPartnership.com.
Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers? Anybody else that would like to say anything? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Here I have a proper motion and a second. If you would do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Burton,
Hi.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved, thank you. We've got on here also the CRA discussion on program progress and the Main Street program. Do you feel that we've sufficed in the discussion we've already had? Is everyone good with that? Commissioner DeVito?
One thing I wanted to say, when I sent an email of questions to Mr. Billhart, I just want to clarify, because I asked if we need to have a CRA meeting agenda. And I know he is our interim manager and he was not here when the budget was passed. I think your response to me was that the funds for the downtown partnership through the MOU were not CRA funds, but it's my understanding that they are CRA funds.
That's correct. I made the mistake of saying that they were in the general funds as opposed to the CRA.
I think Steve knows, but I just wanted to make sure you do. And like I say, you weren't here when the budget was passed. That would not be an automatic thing that you do that. So, great, thank you. Mayor, I do have one thing that I would like to bring up about the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency, or just really community redevelopment. I have mentioned before, I think it would be helpful for the commission to get a regular report on what kind of inquiries we get, and not identifying the specific businesses, but the types of businesses, and the quality of the contact. Was it brief? Did they really look around? Because I think it's very, very important. We are the CRA board. We're the ones who decide how we're going to allocate the tax increment financing. And if we don't know the challenges that our community redevelopment area is facing, why businesses don't come, then I don't think we're very well informed when it comes time to allocate that money. And my observation is that there are some businesses that have looked at us, we hear about this, but they don't come here. There are a few that have come. There are some sites that have lost one business and gained another. But we have quite a bit of vacant property. And I'm hoping that we will have an inventory of that. And I think it would be a good idea to spend some time looking at the data and figuring out where we need to go from here. Because I think Crescent City needs to think about economic development, and the Sykes question, I think, was very important. Are we waiting for businesses to come to us, or are we reaching out? And I noticed the other day on social media, the city of Willaca advertised that they had had a forum, and there's a medical office here that somehow arranged a forum that was offered by City Hall. They're looking at putting a facility in Willaca, and not necessarily just one kind of city of a facility. It might be an expanded one that is the kind that people have asked for. So I think that's the kind of thing we need to get a handle on, is what are people asking for? How can we understand what people want and need, and how can we try to make that happen?
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll go again on today's speaker. You can tell I took a lot of notes because this is something that is near and dear to all of us. The one thing he said, and I know that's a challenge that we've had, and I don't know how we can't explain this anymore, but he said that no product, no project. And he says you can't sell an empty wagon. And when you have people coming in to look at your area, you're in competition with every other area around you. And so if we're not able to provide these buildings for people to walk in and they can go somewhere else, then they're going to absolutely go somewhere else. That's just good business sense. And so that's something that has been a struggle that I know that we're facing. Our CRA is facing it, Christina's facing it, the city's facing it, Downtown Partnership's facing it. And we've got to do more to encourage these. And I think with these grants and us kicking off these grants, we're really trying to work hard to bring some of these buildings to where people can at least start to notice them. It says you always want to differentiate yourself and stand out, stand up and stand out. And, unfortunately, with some of the inventory we have in our buildings, it's difficult. It's difficult. So as we go forward, that's something that we just really need to be, again, cognizant of. I'll be happy to share his book with everybody. But he has some really good insights, and a lot of it it's things that we just beat our heads against the wall here in trying to figure out and then we do get a business here and we have to be careful because social media can be brutal. And, all it takes is a couple of negative comments on social media and it's a frenzy. And, so we have to be careful there too. And that's for everybody that, if you don't like something that they're doing, give them another chance before you go on social media immediately and be critical. So we're up against a lot, but hey, I think McDonald's is going to be a success.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about McDonald's. We love seeing dirt fly, and I will almost guarantee that it will be a huge success. So, with that. And so, we're gonna move on. Are you done with questions on the CRA?
I'm done with questions on the CRA, but I think the commission as a whole would benefit from spending some time talking about the broader subject of economic development. There's a lot of things other cities are doing, and I think, if we just say it's difficult and we don't dive into the details and try to come up with solutions to specific problems, I mean, we need to do a SWOT analysis. So whether it's part of the CRA or whether it's just a commission activity, I think that would benefit us in seeing what we can do.
Okay.
Commissioners, just to follow up, we have started the process of identifying available land. We reached out to the director of the Putnam County Economic Development Council as well, and want to work with them on being able to market ourselves more effectively. So we have begun that process and agreed that having that available land and distinguished as far as availability for development is critical. And we can work with the county on that and will over the next few months.
And Michael is doing a great job, even with the condos over here. He's staying in close contact with them and making sure that their interest, but at the same time, one of the other things he said is, as municipal leaders, sometimes, don't get in the way, and we have to be careful of that too. So,
I would like to, note, and have the commission please reconsider bringing some minimum maintenance standards to at least our commercial buildings. Our lack of turnkey ready space for potential businesses is an issue, and, the aesthetics of our existing buildings is an issue. And, we have nothing to do. If these owners, don't wanna keep their buildings fixed up, there's nothing I can do. I need your help on that. We need to, see if there's something we can do. I know minimum maintenance standards was, kind of a touchy subject in the past. It got a little carried away, but if we could just maybe think about it specifically for our commercial buildings in our CRA, I think it would be beneficial.
and it benefits everybody. Thank you for bringing that up. And Michael even referred to it more as, exterior.
Yeah, exterior property maintenance standards. There's a lot of jurisdictions that have that. And it means you can't have garbage in your yard. You have to make sure that the facades are adequate and effective so that animals, heat, air don't have the movement capability. So it's just a way of addressing the physical exterior standards. The interior was already addressed under the Florida revised code and Florida statute, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead, if everyone's okay, I'm gonna close out our CRA and open up
Did we take a vote?
schedule. To what?
Did we take a vote on the 12th?
Oh, did we not take, yeah, we did.
We voted. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did.
I just wanted to
We
make
did a
sure.
roll call.
It's been so long.
I know. We did.
I say that.
So with that, we're gonna go to the, application for the Soul Food Festival for their, parade and to serve alcohol in the park during the event. Michael, do you?
To start this, let's move to approve it, to approve the parade and the alcohol, so that we can start the discussion, please.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the alcohol and the parade. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we can start the discussion. I believe, who do we have speaking on behalf of this? Is Ms. Glover here? Okay. Is she going to, or Ms. Snyder, who's?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think anyone have?
Y'all drawing a straw, who's flipping the quarter out there?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sid Snyder, 738 Cherry Street, Crescent City. I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens of South Putnam, and this year for the Soul Food Festival, we're planning a parade, and we're requesting approval for the road closures, and we'll probably use the same pattern that you all use for the Christmas parade, same streets and everything. Also, the alcohol in the park, we have a vendor that's gonna be donating the alcohol for us. It will be in pouches. The little pouches are the cans. We will not be doing like a mixed drink
You're not
type
mixing
thing.
drinks?
No, so whatever the vendor donates, that's what we'll be having at the park. And it's different. He sent us different flavors, so I think it's gonna run pretty well. We have a company that's donating the packets, the pouches, and the canned drinks.
Okay, thank you.
Any
Commissioners, do we have
questions?
any questions?
Yeah, what time did that parade take place?
The parade is at, was it 12? 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And I think the lineup, they were asking to be up there at 11 o'clock.
Are you gonna run the parade down like we did down Magnolia and around?
The same, yeah, cause that was pretty smooth.
That did, yeah.
We
it
were
seemed
in
to
that
work.
parade, so I think,
So it did seem to work.
yes.
We'll just have to make sure not to block any driveways, and that was easy. Put that out there in your instructions.
Right,
Your
right,
parade instructions to everybody, so.
right.
so that would be-
And just one other question, the alcohol's coming in pouches.
Like the Capri Sun pouch kind of style.
Yeah, and,
A sippy for adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's not like hard liquor. And for example, it's not 48, 50 proof, you know, it's just like a, what would you call it, wine cooler maybe type?
Yes, it's fruity, spicy, flavors, several different flavors.
Well, I understand the flavors, I'm talking about.
Oh, the
alcohol.
percentage?
Yeah, the percentage.
Oh,
I'm gonna say maybe 12%, 10%, 12%, it could be.
I didn't look at-
It's a wine.
It's
so-
a 7.5%.
They shared it with us, but I didn't look at the.
Okay, there's the bartender right here. Okay, so,
Yeah, Karen,
yeah, all right, that's
yeah,
all. We just-
experienced bartender there.
7.5%, and so it's gonna take a little bit for anybody to get.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, you know, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't want people walking away with boxes and, whatever. No, okay,
They
just,
can't, because they are closed, but.
Are you guys gonna be doing armbands or something, or is it just checking ID?
We'll be checking ID and also the bands.
Okay, so that's just.
Okay, you have to,
And we will post signs,
They've already,
at the area
okay.
where it's located.
they've already asked me to volunteer, so.
That would.
Cause she's an expert at this.
She has to, you have to have like a Karen with her training, her certification there.
I did say I would be there Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
Plus, I think we have one or two members that's gonna be also, taking the online course to assist him.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I do have a couple questions. So, hi, Sid.
Hi,
So is the alcohol, part of your fundraiser? Are you selling the alcohol?
it will be sold,
Okay.
it's donated to us, from our company.
Right,
So
okay,
whatever,
that's
whatever
part-
they donate, that's all we sell them, we run out, we out.
Okay, and, in the packet, the site plan wasn't here. Do you have a place picked out that you want to have where you're going to sell the alcohol?
The location in the park,
Yes.
they're working on the layout right now, hopefully it'll be finished by next week. But it will be a booth set up just for that, there will be signs posted in the area of the booth explaining, you know, what they can and cannot do.
Right, I mean, they're not supposed to take the alcohol out of the park, right?
Correct. Yeah, everything will be posted there, explaining them what they should and should not do.
Because I know, the downtown partnership, I'm sorry, I think Ms. Robbins left, they have, Rachel's there. They have experience with this, and if I remember, they have volunteers specifically, I think making sure that people didn't go out of the boundaries with the alcoholic beverage. Rachel's shaking her head saying no.
No, that was only over here, and that was making sure that they don't cross 17, because you're not allowed to cross the state highway
Right.
with an alcoholic beverage, so they had.
Okay, so that won't be happening, and, are you planning to have the sheriff's office or any other kind of security as part of?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, and, all right, and then I noticed, the permit says that trucks and campers could be allowed in the park, but we.
They will be parked on that street only.
Right, because we had, the public did not favor that with a prior event, the powwow, and the city manager said that that would not happen again, but I noticed it's in the permit. Okay, and just to let you know, I am never in favor of alcohol in the public parks. It's nothing about this particular event, but I'm just never.
I understand, I've been at the meetings.
Right,
I understand, you know.
So are you gonna be selling alcoholic beverages?
Correct.
Do you have a license to sell alcoholic beverages? I'm sorry?
Yes, I've already spoken with, we're a member of Downtown Partnership, and I've spoken with Christina, and we're going through the process. We have to have it approved first.
By the city.
We have to have it approved by the commission before we can send that to. We didn't wanna say, go ahead and apply for it, and then they disapprove.
And you'll only be able to do that if you have that licensing.
right.
So,
Right, and Mayor, also, that was a question I meant to ask about the licensure. Also, don't we need to make sure that the group has insurance that applies to the sale of alcohol to indemnify us?
I've always recommended it to my clients, the city of Palaca in particular, whenever we had alcohol sales occurring in any connection with any festival event. I recommended that. I don't know what the practical difficulties might be with it, but, you're authorizing alcohol sales as a city government on city property, by a vendor who's gonna be working with a temporary license, I assume. It would seem prudent that you have some form of insurance.
Yes, we're working through the entire process. We're just trying to get this part
gotta get the approval.
approved so that we can get the ball rolling and take care of everything before February.
And you can amend, if you want to amend your motion to as long as all the conditions are met.
And once we get the paperwork back from, the license applying, then we'll bring that and attach it to the permit, with the parent to attach to the records.
And I know the downtown partnership knows how to do all that, because I think they obtained insurance.
They did, and Christina is helping you with this, correct?
Correct, I spoke.
Christina's helping, because Christina's the one that did it for the downtown partnership. So she's become the expert one.
Yes, and we're on the board, so we work pretty good as a team.
That's good, that's good. Okay, commissioners,
Did you ask Commissioner Burton to amend your
I've asked,
motion?
I mentioned that, did you hear what I said? If you wanted to amend your motion, that as long as all the criterion is,
Met.
met.
Yeah, I'll amend it to that, sure.
Well, by criterion, do you mean obtaining the
The
alcohol?
alcohol
obtain a
license.
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 All
And the
that
insurance.
was met. Yes.
Yes, we agree.
We're excited about this event. Always, y'all have done, hats off to y'all, you took this idea and you ran with it, and each year, like all of our events will be, this will be an even greater success, and all the work y'all are putting into this too.
Thank you for your support.
We have any other comments? we have any public comments? Okay, if we have no public comments, I'm gonna close public comment. Karen, if you do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner DeVito? Nay. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Um,
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. So approved. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to, the VRC, which is Commissioner Roy's report. Do you want to do this now? Do you need to take a break prior to?
I was gonna take a break.
So, we'll take, a 5-minute recess. Okay, the meeting is, recess is over, the meeting is back in session. We're gonna continue with our BRC, report.
That's me. And I got the progress, distributed the progress report today, I got it to Karen. Sorry I couldn't get it earlier, but we just met on Tuesday, our last BRC meeting, and we finally got the title report from Gullet Title Tuesday afternoon. So that is something that we've been waiting on for over 2 months since we authorized it as a city petition. So that was good news, and I had to update all that. But you'll see in here, there's just, we are meeting weekly. We have been meeting weekly. In fact, you see we've got 15 times in the last 5 months since the BRC was created. And I really enjoyed getting up at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings. It's really great. Being here at 9 a.m. actually, I did something. But I've gotten used to it. So far we've made a lot of progress since the BRC is established. John Newbold and I have met with the PCSD leadership once and had a frank conversation. We are actually scheduling to do that again at the beginning of January. We've taken several site tours with Ron West. Barbara Scholl helped us get a review of the appraisal before she had to resign because of her health. And actually, if you're looking there on that topic, the review of the appraisal was actually using the information that the Putnam County School District had, or, the appraisal that they had ordered, done in March of 2023. And that had a value of the property of $4.28 million. The review of the appraisal says that the property is worth about $857,000. Furthermore, I found records of the water retention ponds from the Water Management District, and the appraiser actually did an addendum down, and that makes the property, according to him, worth $707,000. So we've gone a long way from $4.5 million down to $707,000, and the work continues. We've worked on getting the operating costs and stuff like that so that we can help put that together. And then also the big thing was getting that title or opinion of title report from Gullet Title, which, as I said, we just got on Tuesday afternoon. And that really shows how complicated this is. I mean, the school property was assembled over the last 120 years, starting in 1903, from land that was donated to the Gilbert Institute to build out the school on, and then that was donated to the city of Crescent City, which then gave it to the school district. There's several pieces of property that make up that, or several pieces of that happened on, and it's got a very incredibly complicated history. There's deeds after deeds after deeds, and each one of those pieces of property was added to the larger. And so it makes it very complicated. It also makes it very hard to obtain clear title, which might be something that the school districts don't have a problem with, but that's for further, discussion, which we're discussing. We also have been working with REG Architects, which we authorized that $120,000 report to be done. They've come down and they've done 3D scanning of the inside of the building, which is step one, and they'll be meeting with us in January to continue the work there. And so, as a result, in there, as you see, we extended the BRC's existence till the end of the year. I would like to, on behalf of the BRC, request an additional 6 months so that we can continue doing this work. And I believe that we should have a recommendation to come before you probably in the next 2 months. I won't want to promise anything, but that's what we're working towards. So it's starting to get exciting. I can't believe it's been 5 months.
Karen can.
Yeah.
It's been pretty labor intensive on Karen, I do know that, those weekly meetings and keeping up with the minutes.
I have some things to say. When we started this in June, okay, the main questions that I kind of had, and I don't know if the rest of the commission did, but the main question was that I had found a grant that I thought we could use to get the school, actually purchase the school, and it was from the state, and the state simply said, guess what? we don't pay for, or we don't give grants out for property that we already own. That's what they said, and I called around, I asked a few questions, and basically, it kind of takes just about every single state grant that you possibly could think of, out of the picture, because that's their stand on it. They own the property, so therefore they're not gonna give the city a grant to pay for property that they already own, if that makes sense. I didn't like that, so, my thing was, I went in and I asked, okay, so how else can we do this? And one of the big things that I was told was probably one of the only ways we're gonna be able to do it is through a bond. And that didn't excite me too much at all. However, it really kind of boils up to, that's probably the way that we would end up trying to purchase this piece of property. So when the school says it's $4.5 million, we got this group together to go out and see exactly what it was worth, number one, and bring that back to the commission, and basically to bring back to the citizens of Crescent City, because right now, we're not sure where we're gonna be getting the money to get hold of this school, and we really can't do anything with the school until we own the property, until the property becomes part of Crescent City. And at that point, okay, then we can probably go out and get grants or whatever for maybe some of the things to, make the school what we kind of want it to be. So I think this commission, just looking at everything that, has been, put on this paper by you guys, which you've done, I think you've basically, come up with what we needed, and that was the appraisal. And I guess the new appraisal, something that the commission should, go out for, first of all, we don't even know if the school board would, accept that kind of money. But the first people that have to accept that kind of money is the city. And whether or not, if the only way we can get the school property is to purchase it through a bond, we have to bring it back to the city and vote on it. And see if they want to pay for that with their taxes. And my idea was to get this done by November 5th, so that we could have a referendum, to vote on at that time, whether or not anybody was interested as far as the city was concerned in doing this. I don't see where much of that's changed, only that now we have the number. And I think right now, I haven't heard too much about grants again, and I haven't heard too much about anybody bringing in any private money to help us purchase the school. I haven't heard any of that. And so I think my feeling on this right now is I think that it's time to kind of give this committee a rest. It's time for the commission to sit down and reevaluate what it is we're actually trying to do here, exactly we're trying to accomplish. I see a lot of good ideas coming out of this commission as to where we want to take the school and what we want to do with the school, but we're missing one component of this. We have to own the school in order to move to the next step. And that's what we kind of put the commission together for. And you've given us a number of, 707,000 is the new property value, I guess. We need to sit down and figure out how to now bring that to the voters. And so the BRC should suspend at this time, let the commission talk about this again some more, and see where the commission would like to bring it, because it's not the commission that is gonna make this decision, it's the people of Crescent City. Because not only, once we get the building, Now we have to go out and fix the building. Then we have to be able to maintain the building. So there's a lot of pieces here that are gonna affect, I think, city taxes. So I think it's time for the commission to sit down and really, make sure that we, reevaluate what we're doing here. That's my take.
Right.
Commissioner Ward.
Commissioner Burke, I respect your opinion, but I greatly, would like to ask you to not put us down before we're done. We are still in the process of this, that 707,000 is not an ending point. It's still very much being discussed and being negotiated. We're not anywhere close to done. And I really don't think that we need to sit here and think that that's the price that this school property it costs. That is what the appraiser says. That's not what the school district has said. And I think that when you look at the title opinion and you look at the fact that multiple pieces of this property were gifted to the school district over the years, that there could be a case made that they need to gift it back to us. Because one, that school is costing them money every day that goes by. It is something that is costing the school district money. They need to get it off their balance sheet. They need to get it to somebody else. We are the only ones that have been interested in it so far. And I don't think that anybody else needs to be involved in it. It's right here in the center of our town. If we don't take this opportunity and do something with it, then who are we leaving it up to? It's just gonna sit there and it's gonna fall apart like Central Academy in Placa and be a shell of building with no roof on it because it burns down or something. I mean, this is.
Well, maybe this is a project that.
I'm sorry, I'm not done.
Okay.
I waited for you to finish. But the people that are involved with this have been working very hard and coming up with a lot of, we would have never gotten this far if it had been left up to the commission. We said $4.5 million, and we said, that's too much. And I think that you really need to let the BRC complete their process because we're not there yet. We have a lot of people that are interested, a lot of people that have been helping us. We've come a long way. And I really think that you have to have the vision to see this project and believe what we can do with it. And I think that the BRC does. They really are, we're working together and we're working very diligently because I understand that, yes, I understand just as you do what our budget is like. We all sat here through all the budget workshops and I know that we don't have 707,000. I would never even dream of paying that to the school district or asking the citizens of Crescent City to bond that. But I think that but if we can get it for as close to zero as possible, which I think is possible, then it would be silly not to try and continue forward with this. And if you kill the process now, then we're never gonna get there.
Well, you don't necessarily have to kill the process.
But you're saying that. You want it to
Just hang on 1 second. You can actually take this on as a project, as part of the historical preservation group that you're with, okay? That you guys, it's basically that group that is handling this anyway, okay? Why don't you take this on, and then when you're done with this project, you can bring it back again to the commission. But I don't see why the city has to continue in this. This has been every week, you have a meeting, every week.
Right.
It takes away from, we have Karen that's there every week, we have a city manager that's there every week. And we don't have another year to just kind of keep going every week for a whole year, to come up with a conclusion as to how we're gonna do this. But you certainly can go forward. You don't need the city to take this project and go forward with it.
Okay, may I get a word in at some point?
Yes, when they're done. So, Commissioner Davida, go ahead.
Just arguing here. Okay,
Well, they're talking it out.
well, I would like to join in. So, we have been looking at this for a long time. The city's current strategic plan says that the city should acquire the Miller Middle School property. And I believe it was Commissioner Burton who was instrumental in putting that in there. And the charge that we gave the Blue Ribbon Committee was not only to come up with a cost figure, it was a very broad charge. It was to look at how to acquire this property, how to acquire it, not just come up with a potential price to offer the school district, and as well to determine how it best could be used and to determine partners. They are not nearly done. And part of this property is in the CRA, and I will tell you, I go to the redevelopment conference every year. This is the kind of projects that cities undertake, particularly through their CRA. But when there is, as Commissioner Lori said, a large property that needs to be repurposed in the middle of town, not to mention this is a historic property on the water, that is the kind of thing that cities and CRAs take the lead on. That was the very reason that we set up the Blue Ribbon Committee, because our city is small and doesn't have a lot of staff, and I understand that it's a burden on our clerk. I don't know what can be done to alleviate that, but I think it's a lot more practical to try to alleviate any burdens than to prematurely end the work because they're not done with their charge. They have brought tremendous expertise that we could never pay for. And they have also provided significant service to the school district. They have illuminated to the school district a path forward. And I raised with y'all, this project reminds me very, very much of something that the city of Dunedin did that was the focus of League of Cities webinar, and it was about how multiple entities come together to create a good project for a city. Dunedin's happened to be acquiring a huge undeveloped tract of land for multi-use purposes, and it involved the state, and it involved the county, and it involved private parties in the city of Dunedin. This is very much like it. And I think if we let them keep going and do the charge that we gave, that they will be able to look at the potential uses and find the potential partners. And I agree with you. I think that it's very possible to find partners to help pay for and operate this. So it's in our strategic plan. It is the thing that most cities would jump at doing, and they would be grateful to have the expertise of the volunteers. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we cut them off now. There's one thing I think the city could contribute. It was my suggestion when we updated our CRA plan that we extend our CRA to cover the rest of the school property. I think that might really be advantageous, but they're not done. And they should not be done. And I would just like to say one thing. Mr. Rudd told me the grant that you identified was a Florida Forever grant. That was for undeveloped property. Florida Forever is for properties that are going to be used for conservation purposes. I don't believe all assistance from the state, particularly the Department of Economic Opportunity, has that limitation that it can't be something that was owned by a school or a government entity. I think it was particular to Florida Forever. That site does not suit Florida Forever. So I think our town is best served by letting this go forward. And if we need to try to figure out a way to make it less burdensome to city staff, then I think we should look at that.
Well, I expressed my disappointment at the last meeting. It doesn't seem, okay, I understand that there's been a lot of work, but it doesn't seem, I'm not really seeing where, which partners are okay that we've tried to reach out to. I don't know what grants you've tried to look at to get. It just seems as though we're getting together and talking about, well, we need to get some grants, we need to get some people. I understand now we have the appraisal, we have, well, and this I didn't kind of like the idea of the retention problem that we're gonna have if we only buy the school part and not this little building up on above and everything. That's gonna create some problems. I don't think we're getting the whole picture as to what really you guys are necessarily doing. I understand there's a lot of talk to the school, but now we gotta put something that really looks as though we're trying to get after this with the right people in the right places.
We're working on that. If you'd like me to tell you every single person that I've talked to and that we've talked to since the beginning, we'd be here for hours. That's why we're meeting, that's why you established this, that's why you gave us this charge, was to do all that work and bring you back some answers. And that's what we're doing, but we're not done yet. And I've talked to several people, including the president of St. John's River State College last week, this week, actually on Monday. But that was a discussion, that was just a talk. I can't give you any definite answers about anything yet because we're not there yet.
And I did see him today, and he did share with me that you had, spoken to him. My concern, this is a concern that I have, with this, and this was a concern back when we originally, established this board. And that was that as a commissioner being, active in this board, what kind of a message is that sending to the partners that you're trying to gather? And so it's very it's concerning to me that I would think that the chairman and the vice chair would be out there speaking to the school and not necessarily a commissioner with this BRC, because we don't want it to be perceived that you're speaking for the commission.
And I understand that, and both times I've made sure to specify that I'm not speaking for the commission, I'm a commissioner, and that is it. And I'm just speaking for the BRC and just talking.
But I know you said you're speaking for the BRC, but you still are a commissioner.
Yes.
But I specifically pointed that out, that I'm just one vote of something, but I'm still a person, and I'm talking as a Crescent City citizen as well. So I'm not speaking for the Crescent City Commission. I'm careful about that.
But Mayor, just to point out, sometimes you go to groups.
I do.
Right, but we don't give you specific authorization as to what.
And I don't.
We would like.
And I don't go into any negotiations or talk to people.
Okay, but they might get the impression.
I'm very careful with that. I'm
Okay,
very
well,
cautious, and
there
that's
you
what
go.
I'm saying to you. So I'm just sharing that I have some concerns to make sure that that's not happening.
I've made sure.
And because we can't let that happen and see, for them to feel like that the commission is behind this, when in fact we haven't really given any of that direction, other than please go out there and look and see from an appraisal standpoint, from a value standpoint, and what you believe could be done with the school. And I understand where Commissioner Burton, I see the whole picture here. I'm trying to see the whole picture. In that Commissioner Burton is saying, we understand that, but do you have you come up with a plan? And all this time, have you come up and said, this would be most suitable for this site? This is how you're envisioning that site to be used. We're not seeing that. And I think that's something that's very important, that if you have that,
There have been discussions in the past, we've had, Michael Frank did a drawing of it and had things all over it. That's something that's not even for my decision, that's for the city, the citizens to decide.
well,
And we had a whole workshop before with all kinds of ideas, we could put something together, we've discussed, reasons, multiple options.
let's finish, wait a second. So,
There's been multiple discussions, but it's not our decision to make, we have ideas, everyone has ideas.
well, no, I know that, but have you formulated an idea from this BRC as to, obviously, you've spoken to the St. John's. So is there, or how do they fit in? Have you come up with a targeted audience that you're looking to seek out to help with this?
My conversation.
And nobody's attacking, our emotions, we've got, no, emotions, let me.
Could I make a response to the mayor at this point? Okay, I do feel that this is a bit of attacking both Commissioner Lori and the work of the BRC, it does sound very critical. I have sat through many, many descriptions of redevelopment projects every year when I go to the redevelopment conference. This is a minuscule amount of time that the BRC has spent looking at this issue, particularly with the issues of the appraisal. I mean, Commissioner Burton said, we want you to look at how we would acquire this. I think if you can read, I don't see how you can say, oh, what have we done? It's very clearly laid out here. These are the required initial steps. I think it's very unrealistic of us to expect a properly fleshed out redevelopment concept to be done in this short amount of time.
I understand that, that's not what, that's
But you're
not,
saying, what
no,
are the
don't
uses?
put words in my
No,
mouth.
you've asked
Let
him,
me finish.
okay, wait a minute, you
Let me
asked him,
finish.
what uses do you see? I
Commissioner
don't think
Tito,
it's time for
let
that.
me finish.
Okay, well, I'm telling you what I think.
Commissioner Moore, what I'm asking is because it's been said that there is a plan and we haven't seen a plan. Have you come up with a plan? Have y'all, in fleshing all this out with these partners, with various partners as
Like
part
I
of
said,
this?
we don't have any sort of, any actual
Okay.
firm plans or partners, because we have to own the property first. And that is not, I can't make any promises to any partners. That's why I was talking to President Pickens, just to see what his interest might be and what their interest in South Putnam is, as far as a place for classes, because they were having classes there before, when they moved to the high school. So I was asking if they might possibly be interested, if we own the property in the future, would they be interested in expanding their offerings down here?
Okay.
And he said, we certainly would, but you guys need to own the property first. I said, I know, but I just wanted to reach out to you to find out. So that's part of the process. And I mean, we've already decided during the master planning session that we're moving City Hall there, that we have the intention to do so. So one building there is the new classroom building on that faces off Prospect would be for City Hall in the interim, while we're renovating building number one. That's what we've discussed, that's what I feel, that's how but I mean, there's nothing that's definite. I mean, there's a gymnasium that
Well,
would
that
make a
helps.
great
I mean, that
recreation
helps.
center.
That's what I wanted, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's what I'm wanting to hear.
I mean, we have,
Is kind of, what are you fleshing out? That's what I would like to hear, is what are y'all fleshing out from this?
I mean, we have City Hall moving there and the county offices, hopefully, along with us, and eventually the sheriff's department can move down there as well, so we can have a one-stop shop for all government services. We have a gymnasium that is beautiful, it was built in 1936, that can be repurposed as a recreation center. We have plan on approaching the county to see if they would be interested in working with us on that, possibly as an idea, because it's a gymnasium. I mean, we could have senior classes there, we could have basketball, everything like that. It's a great building, it's beautiful. And then there's the media center that the Trinidad Peninsula Historical Society was in previously. We have the cafeteria that can be used as a commercial kitchen or as an event space. It still has a beautiful view of the lake. So, I mean, and then we have a beautiful auditorium that can be used as a performing arts center. It just needs to be renovated. And actually, right now, we use it for stage stuff all the time. So-
Because if we have to pay for this, if the city has to pay for this, we've got to be able to, I don't wanna say sell it, but we've got to demonstrate to the public that these are the partners that are most interested in coming to Crescent City, that are occupying this site and are willing to make that investment with us. And because right now, and I think that's something that maybe I wasn't clear initially in when we were developing this, is that we've got to be able to paint this picture for the community. Because ultimately, and we all know where we are dollar-wise here with the city. I mean, we're struggling with a lot of different things that good possibility, we're gonna have to go to the public.
Well, and I don't think so. I
But
mean,
you
my-
can't
Well,
think anything.
And then, so,
I know,
wait
but I'm
a
just
second,
saying
so,
for 5
so
months.
he's saying that
That's not
how
my-
much longer are you thinking that you might need for this?
Well, we've talked about probably having a proposal by next, depending on holidays, next, so January, February, because we're trying and we're gonna see if the school board will hear us after that.
So you're
But they're
asking,
coming here first. We're coming here first.
And that's what I was trying to say,
I mean,
is that before you go to the school board,
Yes,
before
of
there's
course.
any
I made
negotiation
sure,
going on,
that before
or
you did
anybody
it, yeah.
speaking on our behalf, that the commission is.
The commission should do the negotiation. The
There's,
commission needs to do the
there's
negotiation,
no-
not,
there's no
Well, we would
negotiation.
hire, no, we would have to, that's where you get into, we'd have to, with our
That's what I'm
attorneys,
saying, you
yes.
know, we need to decide how to do that. But the other thing that's on the back of my mind, and I'm not trying to, you know, right now we have that space. We have a school, it's empty. We're gonna have another space, it's empty, another school that's empty. Okay, so the question is gonna start to be, okay, what are we gonna do with that school? And when you think about all the emptiness, okay, here in Crescent City, it's all tax dollars too, that if a developer can come in and develop those particular areas, that's tax dollars that could be going into the city's pockets. So I guess all I'm trying to say is, it worries me that we gotta make some kind of, progress. I mean, you're making progress, but we gotta get involved where we can actually buy that piece of property. That's the key.
That is the.
You can go around talking to
that's
everybody
what-
about how beautiful we can make it, but the key is, how are we gonna buy it?
For 3 years, I've tried to figure out how to buy it. For the last 5.5 months, every day, I think about how to buy it. And my answer to you, and what I think, my feeling from talking this is, we're not gonna have to buy it. I don't think that in fact, I don't want to buy it. I don't think we need to. I think we will get it without paying for it.
Okay, well, that's good.
That's what we're working for.
So you think if we were to do an extension to March, that would give you,
That's
that
fine.
that
And
would
I
give.
just asked for 6 months because the BRC chairman asked for 6 months. So I don't have to keep coming back, but March is fine.
Well, and I think in March, that would
Let
give
me-
us a good update, that would be a good opportunity for
I mean,
another update.
Yeah.
And so we could see where we're gonna go from there. And please know, Commissioner Lori, and to all of everybody that's working on this committee, I'm asking some questions, I had some concerns, but I'm not being critical, I know the work that goes into this. And I know everybody obviously is very passionate about this. I do wish that, you could with your meetings, I know it's created a lot of work on our clerk that she wasn't expecting, and I don't know that you need to meet on a weekly basis. Is it necessary to meet on a weekly basis?
No, it's not. I can ask it's not. I mean, we're not gonna be meeting next Tuesday, and after that, we're off for 2 weeks for the holidays. And so we can meet on a bi-weekly basis. We just were hoping we were getting this title report every single week, because that's what we were told by Mr. Gullet. So we hadn't been waiting for that. We just got it after.
And y'all haven't had a chance to look
No,
at it?
haven't, yeah.
Okay, so you will at your next meeting. When's your next meeting?
Next Tuesday morning.
Next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. Okay.
I'm
Commissioners,
fine with it.
Okay, okay.
can we have a
I can work with
motion,
that a little
can we
better.
have a motion, to extend this? He's asked for, I guess the chairman's asked for 6 months. I'll entertain whatever motion y'all want to make for this, to extend this VRC committee.
I'll make a motion to extend this until March, the end of March, with meetings being, bi-weekly, not every week, bi-weekly. Actually, I wish I could say meetings taking place as new information comes in, okay? So in other words, like you say, well, we've been waiting for this and waiting for that, and waiting for this. Well, you can wait at home for that, or you can have a meeting, and chances are, you get it and then call a meeting, and see what you gotta do with it.
So
But
we have a motion on the table to extend this out until the end of March with, the meetings to occur on a bi-weekly basis and on a weekly basis. Do I have a second?
Well, I would second that if we would take out the part about the bi-weekly basis, because they might have an urgent need, depending on circumstances.
Do you want to add language in there unless such need arises, an emergency need arises, that they have to meet sooner?
Yeah.
Okay, can you have that?
Yeah.
Would that suffice?
I guess, I think we should, there's some
Commissioner
other
It's
people
our
serving, so yes, I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
Well, I will just say if I was a volunteer and I had two different commissioners trying to tell me to operate in two different ways, because that's what I've just heard, I would be very discouraged about now. You and Commissioner Burton are saying very, very different things, and we did give them a charge, and I think they're following it. But, that's just my observation. You know, I think as a commission, we should let people do what we charge them to do. So, you know, but I did not bring my charge with me today. So anyway, I would like to know if there's anybody.
I'm
in the
going to
public.
open it up for public comment.
Great,
I'll do
thank
that.
you.
Would there be anybody that would like to speak? Please come forward. State your name and your address if you will, please.
Good evening, Dan Dodge, Crescent City. I'm the chairman of the VRC, and thank you for all your input tonight. I first want to say that in regards to meeting weekly, you brought to our attention that it's become a burden on the staff. I can tell you, knowing that, we can be very sensitive about our scheduling of meetings. And as it's been suggested, there may be an important reason with new information to meet soon. So I would suggest, as someone mentioned, that that we'll meet as needed and not necessarily on a weekly basis. And with the understanding that we need to be efficient. I think you all know how dedicated we all are.
There's no question in my mind.
And I
In any
appreciate,
of our lines, in
I
any of our
appreciate
lines.
that.
If you show up every week, we all know that.
Yes. And we greatly appreciate this, the city staff that are with us. But at the end of the reality is we're all in together with agreement that this is a worthy cause. So thank you for your consideration of giving us more time. Lastly, one of our big delays, unfortunately, was the title insurance. It took months to get it. And we were, in all good intentions, we were going to get it. It never occurred. So it reminds me of someone moving out of an office space. But we finally have it, and that data is critical for us, because now we know the conditions, and we can now move forward, and hopefully with more speed. And of course, financially, we don't want the city to have to pay anything, and that's our goal, so wish us well. We will be reporting back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
service in this. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, we have no other speakers. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. So we currently have a motion in front of us. Karen, if you would please. The motion is to extend this VRC to sunset at the end of March. And also to ask that you meet on a bi-weekly basis with the opportunity that if you should need to meet sooner based on an emergency need, that you could do so. Are you good with that, Commissioner Wood?
You'll find out when I know. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not gonna change the motion, so that's how it happens. I mean,
Okay,
honestly.
okay. So Karen, if you would do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay. Charge on. And with that, we're going to go to the list of approved 2025 state legislative appropriations requests.
Yes, Commissioners, this item doesn't require any action, it's just informational only, simple because the Putnam County Legislative Delegation has finally set their meeting date and time for Thursday, January the 9th. I believe it's from 2 to 5 p.m. And so, I'm putting together the information, specific for that meeting.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give you a copy of the projects that were approved already by this commission.
Maybe should we ask them?
Well, this year, yes, because remember last year, and we even
Oh, that's right, we were on the
requested,
list last year.
we were on the list last year, so Michael made it a point of reaching out to them very quickly to say, we will be there. And, because last year,
We were on the agenda.
I guess we didn't write into, Senator Hudson's office, and others didn't either, municipalities, with the assumption that they were gonna be on there. For some reason, when they were going through the list, and they added those other ones, they still didn't add up, so we were at the very end, even after public comment. So we learned our lesson that year, and Michael got on it immediately, when she sent that out. So we should be at the beginning, especially with us having, a commission meeting that evening.
Yeah.
And that's for all commissioners, please, if you can, be in attendance. Commissioner DeVito?
No, I was just gonna ask, are we all planning to attend?
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I will, I'll put it on my calendar.
Okay. Commissioner Burton? You be there?
Let's see.
Okay.
Supposed to be.
Okay.
One meeting. If we're not all back here at 6, we'll just wait till we.
If we're not back here, y'all just go ahead and,
We'll be on our way.
we'll leave the agenda with you, and you can do with it as you.
That's an important meeting.
And you can get out of here sooner than we can. Okay, so this is the recommendation. We've already voted on this and agreed to it. Do we have, do we need a motion? We don't need another motion, do we? Okay, just informational. Okay, just want to make sure you're not looking for that.
And these aren't in any priority, correct? I mean, it's just, these are all of them, and all the paperwork's been done, and they're all in for both the House and the Senate?
Yes, part of this requires that we identify if there was any appropriation funds from last year. And the first one was for the fire station.
And the rest of them were requests, but we weren't up for it, because we didn't receive any money. But then that's one of the questions, and that was, did you make this request before?
Yes, they do ask that if you've made this request before and we're not funded. So,
Then, last year also, we were told that we needed to contact the different departments, like the FDP and stuff, to see if have we done that this year? Or, because it always seems to help that if you contact the different state agencies that are responsible for this, like the Department of Environmental Protection, and at least they know about it, then that seems to help the process along.
help the process.
I learned that this 6 months ago, so I don't know if we need to do that.
And that's true, so for some of these, that's something I think that as we go forward, but I think we probably need to maybe recommend these to our legislative delegates first.
There'll be 2 state agencies that will be involved in these, and so I'll reach out to them.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. With that, let's move on to, there's a tree donation for a location along Main Street.
Mike, would you like me to speak to this?
Yes, please, Commissioner.
Okay, so I brought this to the city manager, and he put it on the commission agenda. So Ralph, my husband Ralph, is here. We live at 108 South Main Street, which is 2 blocks south of Central Avenue. And there have been quite a few heritage oaks on South Main Street that have been lost over the past several years, well, starting in 2004. And as well, this whole area has lost trees. The Eagle Lion Park right across the street lost a heritage oak by the tennis courts, I believe in 2016. That's the catfish sculpture. And then the city, for some reason, decided to cut down a perfectly healthy heritage oak to make that handicap parking space, which I could never figure out why that happened. That was before. So anyway, so my husband and I wanted to, well, oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, thank you.
But anyway, so throughout various storms, we have lost a lot of shade trees on South Main, and in fact, 2 were cut down between, our driveway and the neighbor to the north. So basically, we made an offer to the Tree and Garden Board, my husband and I, that we would like to donate $250 to the city to purchase a shade tree for South Main Street to be planted at a mutually agreed upon location in the right of way to be a shade tree for the street. And we never heard back. We just didn't hear anything back. So, we would like to do this. I'm not sure why we didn't hear back. But we would like to provide some shade for Main Street and maybe set an example for people who might be willing to donate for this cause. And $250 for a shade tree should buy a decent sized tree. I'm thinking maybe between 8 and 10 feet high, which would be a stripling.
Have you looked at, no, I'm just curious, which
Yeah.
tree?
Well, the trees that have been lost are live oaks, and it would be nice to find, to replace with a live oak.
Okay.
But you do have to find a spot in the right of way that is suitable for that. You have to have both water accessible, and also you can't be in the way of
Any of our utilities.
right,
And I
utilities.
believe that's probably why you haven't heard anything back. I know there was, staff was, I know at one point there was, overheard them talking that there was some concern that when we put it in the right of way, we usually always end up having some issues with some of the trees that they're having to just maneuver around. And so, that's probably why. It's very generous of both of you, and, Ralph, thank you very much for your willingness to do this, and to enhance South Main Street.
My concern is that if we don't, I think that it's possible to plant shade trees in the right of way because it's all along Woodland Boulevard on 17. They have, when I went to Dunedin, they had tons of shade trees in the right of way. There is a way to do it. I think we just need to find out what it is.
They're very fine water, but it's for 60 feet, and we only have
Yeah.
30 feet of pavement. I mean, there's gotta be spots.
You'd have to work with staff, you'd have to work with staff on that. So do we need to, do you need a motion to accept their offer?
I don't think so.
Yes, Karen?
Do we?
They talked about this. Is Liz Gomez still here?
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah,
She's back.
Liz Gomez, and the board talked about this with Keith Harris, and I think they're gonna go out at some point and see where the best place to
Ms.
do
Gomez,
it.
if you would,
They just needed permission to make sure it was okay to plant. Am I mistaken on that? I think-
Elizabeth Gomez, 19 Cedar Street. Thank you, Commissioner DeVito and Ralph, for your beautiful offer. And that's something we discussed at the board meeting. And we talked to Keith, and that was a concern. So we were gonna get back with Keith, and maybe some of us go, and maybe you, Commissioner DeVito, and go look and plan and see that we were not planting on stuff, utilities, so it was homework for Keith for our next board meeting.
I mean, the utility department, I mean, the public works department knows where the utilities are, and actually you have to use 811. I mean, we'll just put in a mailbox.
They have the,
Right,
He
but-
said some of the sprinklers are not working,
So he wanted to make.
so he just wanted to make sure that the tree will get plenty of water.
So he wanted to make sure it was in the right spot.
Right, well, I have no
whether
idea.
it's water, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where they're at with
Because
that.
it would be, that's something that unless we put it on your property,
Right,
then
it has to be watered in.
it's gonna have to be watered, and we don't want that to be a burden for whoever's house they decide to put it in front of, so. Okay, so you'll work with the tree board,
Yeah, that's
With
what
that-
they've already been working with it, so.
okay, so do we need a motion to accept? Can I get a motion to accept their offer?
I move that we accept the generous offer of the DeVitos for, the donation of this shade tree, that's hard to say. Trade shade. Shade tree.
Okay.
For South Main Street?
For South Main Street.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Yes, public comment, I apologize.
No worries. Dan Dodge again, and I think it's a great idea. I want to thank my neighbors for creating such a thing. I also will be willing to donate $250 towards the live oak. However, I have a condition. You may think I'm crazy, but I'll explain it. I don't want it in the front of my house.
See, you're exactly right. Everybody says that. I want a tree, but don't put it in front of my house and don't put it in my yard.
You've got it. And the reason why is that I've planted a lot of shrubbery and fruit trees, and they need sun.
Yeah.
So I don't need shade. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm dealing with that in my house right now. Okay, do we have any other comments on this?
Question. Diane Sykes, Crescent City. I'm sure that you and Ralph have probably investigated this. I was just curious about the root system, because I know that big old oak tree we have by the lake, has uprooted the sidewalk and stuff. And I didn't know how much space it needs for the root system. That's just a question.
None of us will be here when that becomes an issue.
So what she's saying is we're gonna leave that for the future
Yeah,
city leaders to deal with.
Wait,
we have lots of live oaks all over this town. And, they're 150 years old. We should plant some for the future.
Okay, at this point in time, let's move on to the discussion on the Better Place, plan funds for 2025. Michael?
Yes, commissioners, obviously 2025 is up and coming very quickly. The state does distribute to all the counties Better Place plan funds as part of the 1 cent sales tax that's collected. And so the city is expected via information from the state to receive about $211,000 in 2025. And along with what we currently have as carry forward from 2024 of around $230,000 to look at about $441,000 available for 2025. There was a list of projects created within the 2023 through 2028 5-year capital improvement program that was developed through the commission and previous city management. So what I wanted to do was bring forward some recommended projects for 2025. These projects have gone through staff review. They're not in any priority order. However, all of these projects, which each one of them has validity to them, is about 100,000 plus more than what we could expend in 2025. So I wanted to at least bring these forward to you, open up for discussion, and nothing has to take place tonight. It's suitable for January meeting 2025 to maybe have some recommendations, but we wanted to have something to discuss with you so that we could have a more formal presentation for recommendation.
Yes.
I printed out a form or a piece of paper, and I did not realize how tiny it was to look at. But, this is a discretionary sales surtax, infrastructure surtax, and according to Florida statute 212.055, it says specifically what we can and can't use this money for. And it has to be a permanent capital outlay or permanent fixed capital expenditure. I love the state. It has had a life expectancy of 5 or more years. We've also design and engineering costs, which is what the fire station comes under. But there's a few things on here that I don't think, Sanford Extra Beach, I don't believe that would count as a permanent fixed asset. And then the tree inventory and raised canopy, I know we discussed this during our budget, but I don't see how that would qualify under 212.055. I'm not a lawyer, but it tells you on there pretty much that it has to be for those specific uses. So those two, I think, kind of take that out, but that's only, that's 50,000.
I'd ask you to look hard at the gas golf cart and the mower as well.
Now, we have used this in the past, I know, for equipment. So the mower, you feel like, I can understand taking out the gas golf cart, but you feel the mower also.
I'll ask you to look at it.
Okay.
I don't think of capital improvements normally as a golf cart or a mower.
I mean, it does say vehicles, and it doesn't define vehicles, I know. So it's like, police, it says, a fire department vehicle, emergency vehicle, sheriff's office vehicle, police department vehicle, or any other vehicle. So I don't know, and it said, I specifically saw an AG opinion that says that vehicle is not defined in the statute, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, a mower, I don't think would be a vehicle.
It says, or any other vehicle,
Yeah, or
and
any
the
other
equipment necessary to fit the vehicle.
But yeah, like the radios and stuff, but, I know I fought with Charles over that vehicle definition a few times, so, because at first it used to only be for fire and police and stuff, but then that any other vehicle at the end just kind of leaves the whole thing up, but yeah, we obviously don't want to spend money, that's not legal under Florida statute, and that would get us in trouble.
We know for the sand for Dexter Beach, but that's something that maybe we could possibly reach out to, Michael, I guess we could reach out to DEP and see if they have anything in there.
What do we actually, on this list, what do we actually need? Okay, I think we need to do.
All of
I
it.
think the North Lake Street Stormwater Project, for example, is something that we've been working on for 2 years.
Yeah, we promised that, I mean,
That needs to happen.
that's
Right,
should,
and-
I thought it would already happened,
Okay.
Mayor,
it was in process.
yes, if I could, I had written a note to the city manager about this, and his response to me about the project that Commissioner Burton just mentioned, the North Lake Street Stormwater Project, for $130,000. I thought we had a fix for it, and, our interim manager may not be aware, but this is to remediate a problem that is affecting a homeowner's property. And
He's aware of it.
okay, but it's been going on for quite a while. And we tried one fix and it turned out it wasn't environmentally acceptable for Crescent Lake. So I'm not really sure how, because your response to me was we could apply for a grant, but how long would that grant take?
And you might not get it.
Yeah.
to begin with.
But I'm saying, do you know the
It's always a
timeframe?
maybe.
Yeah.
We can apply for grants out of the Florida Department of Natural Resources and the EPA. But that's February, March, we'll be applying, and we don't really know because the legislature will have to figure it out, and it could be July, August before we even know.
Right, so I agree with Commissioner Burton, it's a lot of money. But we have really told this resident that we are fixing it.
Yeah, it's a mess down there if you go down there after
Right.
rainfall. It's really quite a
Yeah.
mess.
So to me that, and I don't know, I know we had a discussion about painting the south water tower. I think Commissioner Roy had some thoughts on that. I don't remember exactly what they were. And then the elephant in the room, I think we have a memo on this later, is the architectural design cost. And that the architect is here. That was my question at the last meeting, what would the $1 million cover? And it turns out it does not cover the architectural design.
And that was a surprise to me as well, and I shared that with Michael after the fact, because I thought it would encompass, that would encompass everything, and that, I do have some concerns. Now, I understand that when they go out for bid, we'll have a better understanding as to how much this is gonna come in. It's right now, they've got it priced at what, $385 a square foot, $385 a square foot, which seems excessive. But again, I'm not a contractor, but it does, just based on that. So I wasn't expecting that 110 either. That could go up to 120.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what the memo from Mr. Taylor says. The 120 is what is expected, plus 10%. For contingencies, that would be 132.
So, and just to throw something else into the mix, where it says grant match for New Moon Masonic Lodge, which we had the wonderful presentation on, I believe in September. I am very concerned with waiting to get, the next step in this is we need, I think, $60,000 for architectural plans.
Construction.
Right, and construction documents before we could, start applying for other grants or, looking for in-kind donations. When REG Architects presented the conceptual plan, I heard the architect say, and I asked him about it later, he said that time is really of the essence. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, as soon as possible, because the longer you wait to start on the structural issues, the more behind you get. And possibly you might imperil the project. So, I heard from Mr. Rudd that he had applied, I think,
Yes.
for the small grant that would bring us $50,000 and we would need 10, but that we wouldn't get that if we got it until 2026.
We did it, no, we did it next July. It was just graded and, they just evaluated it in the process a few weeks ago.
So it would
It would
possibly
be
come in
July, it
July.
would be July 1st of 2025.
Okay, do you know what we were rated?
I do, Mr. Gerhart was watching,
Right. I do not have, we don't have any information
Yeah, they have
directly from the Bureau.
they have a rating,
Okay.
okay, through the grading and didn't have any questions.
Well, so that's good news that you said it would come.
It's July 1st, 2025.
And they do this
Yes.
every year because last year he was up in the trees, we were hanging lights when he was on listening,
Yeah,
listening in, yeah.
Right, okay, so, but, we don't know, again, as Mr. Brookhart said, how much, like, where you will have to stand to make the cut, because you don't know how much money will.
So I think at our next meeting, you have this in front of us, so I think at our next meeting, go ahead and digest it, do what kind of research you need, and then let's bring it back for, an approval, you're gonna need an approval on this, and we'll hash some of these out. Is that good with everybody?
Right, well, Mayor, I don't think we've ever actually had information in writing. I mean, obviously, we've heard about, we've seen the plans or whatever, the drawings, and heard from the architect about the fire EMS building. We've heard about the Lake Street Stormwater Project, but I don't think we've ever had a written explanation about what is needed for painting the South Water Tower or renovation of the area.
It might not have been in
structure.
writing, I know, I believe Keith did speak to it when we were going through the budget, I think when we were talking about the budget, he did speak to that.
And the renovation of the
Area
area
structure.
structure, we already paid 1 year,
Yeah.
it's a 3-year thing. So that we have already agreed and approved.
So that 17.2 is already agreed to?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a contract on it. Because they broke it up into 3 payments for us.
Well, so that's not really optional, but, painting the South Water Tower, I know there was a discussion about that. It would be helpful to have something in writing about what all that involves and how soon it needs to be done. We really, I don't think.
And a big part of the problem
I think
is
it
lead
should
paint
come
and the paint, which I don't see why we couldn't qualify for some grants from Department of Health or DEP.
I think that's something that you talked about that you were gonna look into, if there were any grants available for that.
Yeah, what's required is every 10, 12 years, interior tanks have to be, those that were not constructed originally with a coating, this is a very old one, have to be, the water has to be drained, sandblasted and repainted on the inside.
But this is for the outside, isn't it, not the inside?
Now, this is the actual inside.
So the outside is just, okay. I don't know.
So but everyone, please know the water
Yeah,
the water is safe, there's not lead poisoning in the water based on. So please, everybody, make sure that you,
It's a standard.
yes, it's a standard that you're supposed to follow, please,
Preventative maintenance.
preventative maintenance, so that our water stays safe.
That is a very old water tower. That was built in the
BJ.
20s, wasn't it? The 20s.
We dig.
No, I'm just saying.
I know we're digging.
Please, it's a very. However, just, as a point, we've discussed this before, it would, I know our water fund is not in a point where the water fund can bear that expense. And so,
But I do think that as we go forward, and then I want to move on with this, that welcome signs, we've come down on the price on that and trying to see how we could do that for the less than, I think originally we talked about 60.
Yeah.
And I think we can definitely do this and even come under, but that to me is a priority. That goes to what he was saying today, is set yourself apart, make yourself look good.
You can't even
So
jump
pick
right
up your
to
trash, he said, pick up your trash, look at your signage, do what you have to do. So we definitely need to do that, so that people know that we're proud of Crescent City. Okay, with that, if everyone's good, we're gonna move on. I wanna go to the appointing of a tree and garden member. It's my understanding that the tree board has, is recommending that Liz Gomez, Pat has resigned. Her service is very much appreciated. Pat has done a wonderful job leading this tree and garden committee. And they are now recommending that Elizabeth Gomez as their chair. So do we have,
So moved, appoint Liz Gomez to the chair
Okay, do I have a
position for tree and garden board.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay. And I did skip over that we have appointed a tree and garden member. I guess we have, two, do we have two? Yeah.
I would like to move that we appoint Tricia E. Bratton, to the tree and garden board.
And I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
And I don't know about anybody else. I ran into Donna Middleton the other day and I asked her how she felt about this, because I told her that someone else had applied. She is a wonderful gardener and she really is very passionate about our environment here in Crescent City, I mean, about beautification, really. But she said she has some plans to be out of town now and then to visit family, and she would not mind if we appointed another person.
We currently have a motion and a second for Tricia Bratton. We appreciate Ms. Middleton putting her name to apply. Karen, if you would, just for this, if you would do a roll call for us, please.
Okay. Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. So approved. Thank you very much. And Ms. Gomez, thank you always. Our Duracell bunny. She is, yeah, our Energizer. The Energizer bunny, okay, it's like, anyway, she's all over the place. Got her hands in so much and we are so appreciative, Liz.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, let's move on to the discussion on the proposed fire EMS building architectural design service cost. Mr. Taylor, thank you. You've been waiting patiently. Michael, do you want to prompt this for us?
Yes, the architectural design services have been underway with Mr. Taylor as architect for upwards of 2 years now. And he's been working specifically with the former city manager and the fire chief. And the conceptual plan, which I believe you saw in November, was reviewed in detail. And as far as the next phase would be the architectural design services. From there, then the permitting process would begin. So as part of that, there's that phase, Bob's costed out at a minimum 110, upwards of about 120, with any additional services that could be up to 130 at the max if needed services are begun. That funding is not, we found out, was not within the $1 million appropriation allocated by the state legislature in 2024. And as such, we've been looking at funding sources as to where this 110 to 130 could come out of. Thus, we put in, and we'll check on the eligibility, better place plan funds to see if that.
Yeah, it does
That's
meet,
all.
it definitely meets that.
And so we, at the staff level, we would recommend that funding come out of the better place plan funds. Because we know the funding is there, and this is obviously an applicable project, and you'll never see the fire EMS station built without the architectural design.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Taylor? Thank you for sitting through this. So sorry.
Delightful.
Delightful? Okay, I've never heard of that.
Christina, I enjoy the public involvement of what you do. And I think this is one of the greatest forums that's still available in America.
Thank you.
So I laud you for your efforts and for your time and patience as well.
That's very nice. Mayor, I do have a question, and it may be a question more for Mr. Brillhart. So, as I understand it, there is a zoning issue for this property. There was a reference in the city manager's report or somewhere that compromise had been reached with the neighbors.
Yes.
What is that about?
It's general commercial.
Yes, the recommendation is that this particular property, which is currently zoned as general commercial,
Right.
be rezoned to a public building.
Right.
Because it's more effective being a public building, and whatever happens in the future has that public zoning designation. There was a concern with the property owner that the setback on the side yard, which is on the north side of the property, could be very close to their property line, and they were concerned about having any future building up close to their property line. And as it was shared with them, the actual setback being discussed is along Summit as opposed to the north side of the property. And that was something that the property owner wasn't made aware of initially in discussing it with the fire chief. And so that discussion has taken place. They are in agreement to that setback and will be in favor of it at the upcoming December Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Okay, and then the second related issue I have is, and it's something that our architect had mentioned, that the cost of the building, of the development will differ depending on whether or not we have to retain the water on the property or not. And we don't have that determination yet from the Water Management District.
The recent changes in the Crescent City Land Development Code have made that a simpler solution. Prior to that change, it mandated that water retention be required for all city developments. Subsequent to that revision, it now states that if the Water Management District, St. Johns River Water Management District, does not require a permit, then the city will also waive that requirement. One of the key elements of the development is not adding pervious surface. The new EMS facility will be on the front of the site, which is already completely paved. We do not anticipate any additional impervious, and even through the water management, we would be allowed some additional impervious, up to 5,000 square feet, I think. So I'm of the opinion that we will not have to have a water management permit. We just haven't applied for that. The process is you have to apply for a permit, and we included the fee for doing that. The civil engineer services are included to do that, with the understanding that St. Johns River Water Management District will waive the permit, and then the Crescent City Land Development Code will be satisfied.
Okay, well, the code may be satisfied, and by the way, we're the ones that enacted that code. And I certainly never, the city manager and the planning firm never said anything about that change. I kept saying, what is going to be different about this code? In this particular case, there is a cemetery that is adjacent to the fire station property. And I certainly would not want the city to be flooding, the cemetery.
Commissioner Newbold, he was part of that tour that they did just recently that Jason walked them through to make sure that the cemetery did not have any concerns. My understanding is his concerns have been taken care of.
Right, but I'm just saying, whatever we do, I don't think we want to flood the cemetery and also the stream back, but, so, okay, but we don't know what the water management district will say.
We expect that they will waive it, but we have to apply for the permit.
Got it.
And again, one of the key elements is no new impervious.
And one thing that I thought about after our meeting last month was, we never decided which design we wanted to go with, like the gabled roof or the non-gabled roof, you know, that you gave us those two choices of.
We have had a subsequent meeting with Mayor Myers and City Manager Brillhart and Chief Highfield, and they suggested the third plan that we presented. I did two SketchUp models, and it was the third one that we presented. I don't know if you still have those packets. I'm not sure I brought that with me tonight. But it has the step pyramid on the front, but on the back, we used A-frame structures to reduce the scale of the buildings, to be more compatible with the neighborhood. And it also directs the water to the north and the south, rather than back to the fire station, so.
And that will have to come back to the commission, those final plans will have to come back to the commission for approval.
Yes. And again, Mayor, if I may, the services that we plan to present are a full design service. So even though we have a tentative design, which we think would be a good one, we'll develop that more, looking at the structural issues and the site water issues and the parking and other things as part of the site plan design. And then ultimately bring that back to the commission for your approval.
No, when we had that packet of information, I didn't realize there were the two different models, and when I went home, then I figured that all out.
My question is, because it's my understanding, based on how you explain that, is that this will go out for an RFP. It'll go out for an RFP, correct?
Request for proposals.
Right.
Yeah, and it'll be at large. So any contractor that is bondable and licensed can bid.
Okay.
And then we would send out invitations, and if the city had friendly contractors they wish to invite, we would send that out as well. It'll be advertised in the local papers, and as far, the Florida Administrative Weekly is a free service to architects. We'll advertise in that as well. So we'll get distribution basically all over the state.
When we advertise though, do we advertise, we don't advertise, do we advertise our budget?
The advertise, I did not include a money amount for the advertising.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But there's some contingencies there.
Yeah, that was, just popped up. I wanna make sure that, you know, it's open. So we get true bids. My question would be, if we expend this money out of our Better Place, is if we come in lower and there's a cost savings, is it reimbursable back to, do we know if these architectural services would be reimbursable back to the Better Place fund? Not necessarily.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
we
sir.
invoice progressively, so we don't invoice the whole amount. The first phase is like 15%, the second phase will be 20%. The construction documents are the detailed drawings and specifications, and that would be 40%. The bidding phase is another 5%, and the contract administration is spread out through the entire construction period. So it's not a lump sum due.
Right.
And you'll know pretty much once the project is bid what the dollar amount is.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is that, we've allotted this for the Better Place. If we're getting $1 million, and say this comes in at 800,000, the build comes in at 800,000, and we have a cost savings of 200,000, is that reimbursable back to our Better Place? Because you can only use that $1 million for, that's what I'm saying, see, that's my concern. You can only use that $1 million for the fire station.
You have to return that to the state.
So you have to.
Actually, we could use, of the $1 million, the design could come in that cost if the construction is less. So yes, you would have a higher balance in the Better Place plan at the end of the fiscal year.
Where you could take the money from the $1 million,
That's what I
the
was.
money being used for the architect, and then if you run short, take it from
Yes.
the better place money. But I wouldn't count on it coming in
Yeah.
20% under budget.
That sounds like that.
You might want to count on it coming 20% in over budget.
Well, still at $385 a square foot, that's where it's estimated, it comes right in the million.
Well, I understand, but I'm saying,
Let's be realistic.
I doubt, maybe you can get Mr., maybe we can get Bob to guarantee that it won't be greater than 385 square foot.
Be a hard,
That's what I
thought.
thought.
I wish I could control prices, but I can't.
Right out the door. Okay, so
Okay.
we need to take action.
So do we need to take action on this, Michael? Are you asking for approval?
Yes, I'm asking for approval on the architectural design services with architect Bob Taylor.
Do you already have the money, the grant money in hand?
No.
$1 million?
No.
When do you expect it?
Where is it?
It's, we reimburse the State Department of Public Safety, Environmental Management, Emergency Management.
Emergency management.
So whenever something comes in, as far as a bill, then we request reimbursement from this.
Just like all of that, but most of those, people don't realize that, we have to expend that money, send it to them, and then they reimburse it back.
Okay, so, how are we going to do that with $1 million construction project?
Once, as we go, right?
Yeah,
So
and it's
it should
quick,
be-
I mean, it's a quick turnaround, that they
It's
do
wire
that, and it's
backwards,
going to be it'll be in phases.
So-
So
Steve's-
can I ask one more
Yes,
question or two? I always say one more and I'll three more. When would you expect your progressive billings to begin, yours?
I had estimated about 6 months to get through all of our phases, so maybe around June or July, we would be bidding the project.
When do you expect your architectural services progressive billing to begin?
Well, I've asked for an upfront retainer to pay for services rendered to date, $3,000, and we could bill that once the contract is approved. The balance would be, the next phase is 15% of that, so 15% of the balance, and then the schematic design phase, I think, again, based on what we talked to Chief Highfield and Michael and the mayor, I think we've got a pretty good schematic design. So as we progress through, Don, we would be billing periodically.
I mean, so the first 3,000 will be soon,
Yeah, say whenever the contract is approved.
and then the next 15% when?
How about 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
From now?
Yeah, well, from the approval of the contract.
Okay, so I was trying to get an idea in terms of whether you would be wanting to pay from the grant monies instead of expending your Better Place monies now. But I'll leave that to you then. Because of what you said earlier, what if you do come in way under? What if you can fund the entire project with $1 million, including the architect's fees? That would free up your Better Place money as compared to you spending the Better Place monies up front on the architect and then coming in under, and then, I mean, obviously you could pay for something out of general fund that might be otherwise have been paid for out of Better Place to try to compensate, but you see where I was headed.
I mean, we're not gonna be that far into it by the time so I mean, if we're doing the first retainer of the 15%.
Is that-
so-
Yeah, is that something that we could do, Michael? Do you want to look into that to see if we could go ahead and expend that out from that and submit that to to them for reimbursement? His fees? I'm just real uneasy and we did that. And again, I did sit in on the meeting and the only reason I sat in was just from informational purposes because we've got a fire chief who is about to retire and we've got Michael who is our interim. So I just sat in to listen and I learned that in that meeting was when you were talking about it having to go out for the RFP. And it could come in under, it could come in over, and then, of course, my red flag went up and wanted to make sure the commission knew is that, we don't want to get ourselves in a situation where this is going to cost us more than what we are anticipating, so.
Are construction costs still rising at about 2% a month?
Yes, roughly, from 2022 to now, I've been using about 15 to 20%. At the end of this year, the beginning of next year, cost increases could be around 5%, just because they increase costs annually. If the tariffs go into play, it could be substantial. Steel, aluminum, and glass come from overseas. Canada and Mexico manufacture refrigeration, air conditioning equipment, and a lot of pre-manufactured equipment that we buy. Thank goodness we grow our own trees and manufacture plywood.
Although a lot of that comes from Canada too.
But the tariffs are a little bit scary.
Okay, so I need a motion.
And this is taken as contract.
Yes.
Well, then I move that we approve the architectural services contract with Robert E. Taylor
And to be paid
to
from.
be paid from the Better Place Plan funds
Unless,
we can pay for it from the grant award from the state of Florida.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Do we have, any public comment on this? Thank you. Karen, yes, Commissioner DeVito.
So costs are going up. What do we do if we have the architectural plans and the $1 million won't build the building?
At each one of these phases, we'll look at the cost. I shared with Mayor Myers and City Manager Brillhart. We do a cost evaluation and it's in-house, but my consultants and I have an ear to the ground. And we would hope to make adjustments as necessary throughout the design phase. The windows that we're looking at are very high-priced windows, so we may end up with fewer windows. There may be other subtleties that we can figure out as we go through the design phase to reduce cost. So the schematic design, we'll have a budget, design development, we'll have a budget, and toward the end, when we're ready to go for the bidding phase, we'll have a final look at the budget.
Much
All
like,
to stay in the budget, that will be our goal.
much like building a house. You put everything in it that you want, and then all of a sudden the reality hits and you start backing out. and say, "Okay, well, I'm gonna put vinyl and not real wood or something to that effect. So,
You should try to start it as soon as possible.
Karen, do you wanna do a, roll call for us, please?
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore? Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, thank you, and thank you for your time, I'm so
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank
it's been
you.
late.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Y'all have a
everything
good
you're doing and your patience with
Delighted.
us. We're gonna go back to, the budget requirement for the city manager interview, and I can provide an update on where we are on the city manager interview. All of our applicants, have agreed to an interview at this time. One gentleman, the one from down south, has asked to do a Zoom interview. I do want to, I want us to really think hard about this, because in going to Steve and talking to him about, the travel, because we're looking at travel expenses for them to get here. We're looking at their accommodations. And I understand where George was, but in the past, I think what has happened is we've kind of done an initial interview and then narrowed it down and maybe our top three. And that's who we would expend these monies on. We don't really have a budget for this. So Steve, if you want to come up and speak to this, if you could, he has looked at his, he's gone through the budget to kind of give us how much we do have, and where he would pull it from. And I also want to share with you in the background checks that Sheila, has talked to the companies that George recommended, and then also Mr. Brillhart got a company that, Colin, that he uses. Yeah, who did ours before in the past. And unfortunately, all of those companies require that you have a minimum of 10 applicants for a background, before they'll perform a background check. She reached out to the school district to see, because of course they have to do background checks for teachers. They have a company, that company though, they have a long-standing, contract with. And so that wouldn't apply for us either. She talked to, I believe, some of the, municipalities, and they said that they typically use, I know Malaca uses their personal law enforcement, their, police officers, there's a police department there. Others use just the sheriff, and so to do that extensive background, might be most difficult. So,
Well, we discussed letting the sheriff, doing the sheriff office.
yeah,
I mean, that's just.
I just wanted to give you an update on that too. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, as far as the budget goes, we're looking at about $3,500. We've got some savings in the executive salaries, with Michael being interim and, not having a full-time manager, we're about $1,500 there. And also with health insurance, we've got about $2,000 there to play with. So we're looking at about $3,500 total for expenses, travel expenses.
That's what we have, or that's what it's gonna?
No, that's what we have.
That's what we have.
That's what we
It's an
have.
approximate, yeah, we've got
And we're asking 6 people, is it?
Well, no, because Michael.
No, it's five.
It's five.
Five, yeah, there was an error. Michael did not, I'm sorry, Michael, I'm speaking on your behalf. He had, in fact, huh?
Or that's just-
He did not, his application, but he never submitted his application. Right, okay.
Maybe start out with 6, and then.
Yeah.
By Michael, it's
We
5.
have 5. So we have 5, and the one gentleman from Miami, from down south, he asked if we could be negotiable on salary, if we would be open to negotiations with salary.
Range.
So, yeah,
Did we discuss that?
we gave them the range, and she did, and so Sheila, in speaking to all of them, she told them basically what the range was, to make sure, and they were interested in that, except for him, and he did say that. So my recommendation to the commission is that, that maybe we do, some initial Zoom, an initial Zoom opportunity, and then go from there and select maybe our top 3.
Okay, I see it.
And then, rather than bring everybody into it. So that's my recommendation. It's at your pleasure.
Well, okay, so all 5 wish to be interviewed, but only 4 would travel here. And I don't know, where is Carl Brown currently located? He's the one in Jacksonville. I don't think, wouldn't most of these people drive here?
And they might, we could give them that opportunity, but that would be on them and not us.
Well, we would pay,
We would pay mileage.
We would
Okay,
pay.
like I said, this is for you to,
well,
to determine.
To me, it's been explained to us that time is of the essence, that some of these people, may, have applications in elsewhere. And the senior advisors have strongly recommended that we let them see our location. So if we can bring them here within the budget of $3,500, because you're saying that is basically all we have at this point, is that correct? Then I would like to try to do that. Because it's what, mileage and 2 nights?
We're discussing, yeah.
Yeah, mileage and 2 nights, and then it would be luncheon. You're gonna feed them also, so they would have so you would have that expense as well.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Having been to a couple of city managers searches, City of Palaca, I would tend to agree with Mr. DeVito in that, spending a lot of time with these folks without them having a chance to see where they'd be moving could be very costly for you in the long run. We found that to be true at the City of Palaca. And quite frankly, and this, you can take this as you will, But if they're married and their wives don't come, you're probably also wasting some time.
We discussed that. We discussed
The
that.
senior advisors, they say that every time.
Okay, well, they're right. Trust me.
Well, then if that's your, whatever, I just wanted to make sure that we all were very aware of this and that, to keep it to a minimum.
I mean,
I don't
Really, you're
know
talking about an expenditure,
that, I know,
$3,500, saving a penny may cost you a pound in the long run. I'll just leave it at that. That's been my experience though. I mean, we did the Zoom interviews, thought it was a great idea. We went through multiple rounds, did the Zoom interviews, narrow it down, then offer to bring those that we then made our list. And by the time we got them here, or by the time we got to that point, several of them had accepted other employment or were no longer interested. So this is a situation where, you know, moving quickly does have some benefits.
well, we have them scheduled. They're on, yeah, they are scheduled. So we've got them on the schedule and so we just have to, do the accommodations. I don't know that we need to, if that's the case, then, you know, you've got 2 days of accommodations, possibly 3.
Crescent Fishing, because they have those
Yeah,
cabins that are really nice and brand new. And it would give them a great taste of Crescent City to see the sunrise over the Crescent.
and I don't know if Crystal, I know that they were running, what, about 140 a night?
I mean,
Yes,
built it.
we were talking about, we went through three different hotels, we need to get 4 + 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Senior advisors.
So that's 6 rooms a night, and you're going on a Friday and a Saturday.
I mean, I would talk to us.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I honestly wonder, I mean, but I'm just looking at how, the budget has me concerned, but if we do really need to do a 2-day, if we need to do a 2-day, or can we do it all in 1 day and then send them back on their way? Okay, 2 days.
If they're close enough.
If they're close enough, yeah. So, okay, well then we'll go forward with that,
But they're interviewing us as well.
yeah.
We're interviewing them, but we want them to be happy here
Oh,
too.
I'm sure they're all watching us too, so. I'm sure they're watching, so, okay, but with that, I just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to talk about this.
I appreciate that. I have one question for you.
Yes,
Have the senior advisors been notified that we're on for the dates that we chose in January?
I don't know, I'll find out from, I'll check with them both, but they were here when we made those dates, so they knew those were gonna be the dates.
Okay, well, I had a question for Jim about the process.
So you called him?
I did, and he said, could you please let me know what, because we didn't know how many had accepted.
Okay, I'll reach out to him.
They
Sheila,
don't
I'll
either.
reach out to him. Sheila, I'll reach out to him tomorrow. I'll reach out to him
Okay,
tomorrow.
because he said it's on our calendar, do you need us, or is this happening? That was really what he said.
And I was under the impression that they knew that this was happening and that regardless if we had 2 or 3, that they were still going to be here because it was on they were here when we scheduled it. So I will make sure that he knows for.
Well, I guess
Communication.
from his standpoint, he didn't know whether they would all drop out or, you know.
Not yet, not yet.
We hope not.
Okay, so with that, let's go on to the Suncom Windstream approval. Karen, if you want to share with us what you have found out.
In your package, you all got,
It wasn't in our packet, but there's later. And you
okay,
said it
so
was-
you all
Just
have,
follow up, she gave you some follow up.
you all have the Windstream thing in front of you. It should have been on the dais. I sent it all to you in email. And, this was a bid from Windstream, which is at 2018-44, and I believe that, our regular bill is 2098. I forgot what I told you all
It's
it was.
2099-06.
Thank you. And this bill that I have in my hand right now includes the internet on in each of those 5 parks.
So it's
So the bill that we have now that we're doing is not included, the internet. That's what we pay monthly, flat out monthly fee. And this Windstream one will include the broadband in each park.
So without.
So we're still saving.
That $80.62 is what we'd be saving, and that
But we'd be getting the
includes
parks.
once we have the parks on there.
Right.
Okay.
So if you didn't get the
Without-
internet, you would be saving almost $1,000.
Yeah, but so it's $13.92
And,
$29
yeah,
without the
without
internet.
that.
So that would save us $706 a month.
yeah, we need the
Oh, we
parks.
need the parks, but that's great, we can get the parks and it's cheaper.
So we can get the parks still cheaper than what we can get.
Do we need to internet at all the parks?
No, I didn't include Colbert and I didn't include Mavis Park.
Not Mathis, but we definitely need it at Culver.
Okay, so you can just probably, well, isn't Colbert across from Harry Banks?
No, no,
it's on
it's by Tally.
It's right by.
The old
Oh,
house.
okay, so then that would
Yeah.
probably be,
By
it would
Corvette.
be $80 and
Yes,
I would have to
Yeah.
ask them, it would be the 80 if it was.
because we've had issues there with the portalet being turned over, and if we get the grant and they build the bathrooms and all, you know.
I just didn't know if you wanted
That
it right now or if you
deserves
could wait, because you can
as
always
much as-
add
yeah.
to it, you can always add to it down the road.
Okay.
That's why I didn't bother getting the two until we got the grant for that part.
Okay.
But
How
that's-
reliable, Karen, would this be in relation to where we are now?
I mean, it's still through Windstream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're still going
Whatever
through
state
Windstream,
contract
It's
Harry
just-
Banks and Fletcher Park,
or
are not in Windstream,
Comcast. It's gonna be territory.
not in, Windstream territory, they're in Comcast territory, as far as open splatters.
Okay.
I really didn't understand how he was trying to explain it to me, but that's the gist of
But
it.
they would still provide,
Yes,
Okay.
they would go through Comcast, but it would also come from the same company, which is Suncom.
okay. Michael, do you have any, thoughts on this?
Yeah,
please?
the difference primarily is that currently we go directly through the provider through a business contract. In a sense, what we'd be doing now is going through a government contract through Suncom, which is a different regulatory agent, and they can get to things much quicker than we can because the provider has to deal directly through their agreement with the state.
So they're gonna talk to Windstream and say, please fix our phone service.
Yes.
Instead of Karen having.
Instead of Karen having to spend 4 hours trying to
Or
get in touch
Jocelyn,
with somebody. Or Jocelyn,
does
yes.
that a lot.
And we do apologize on behalf of the city and the commissioners. We know that our phone service stinks. It just, let's be honest, it stinks. You never know if you're gonna get somebody. And so we do apologize, and we are trying to rectify that situation.
And if I'm correct, in looking through the quote, all of the equipment that we have here released from Windstream, but they're not gonna come and take it out and put new in because it's all just the same, correct? So
Correct,
it's just-
it's just everything is just gonna be
Everything is-
switched over from one
right.
contract to
I just
another.
wanna make sure people
Instead of
understand
doing,
that. yeah.
instead of doing a business contract,
Right, I got that.
It's
I'm just saying that
it's gonna be a
everything
government
stays
contract.
here, we'll be paying a lot less on it.
And Windstream, we have found that they're okay with this, that we don't have a current contract, that this would.
We have a current contract with them, but according to, Rob at Windstream, he had said that we can get out of the contract because we made 12 calls within 2 months of time period, spending hours on the phone, and we can get out of that contract and enter into this one with Windstream.
And so
I already
that-
talked to them,
Mr.
Mr. Bowman. We just gotta send them a letter.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, in talking to Michael, he indicated that if you chose to go this route, he would confirm tomorrow that there'd be no problems or difficulties with you getting out of the existing contract or making the conversion over to the new contract without penalties.
okay.
Because on our current contract, we even pay taxes to ourselves, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 12 cents and it's communication services tax, but that's still, we're paying taxes that come back to us in the state, so it seems a little.
Can we have can we get a motion?
So I would like to move that, we approve, city staff to enter into a conversion contract to switch our Windstream to, the government-based Suncom contract,
Mhm.
provided that, the city manager or staff verifies, that there would be no penalty involved to it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second. And that includes Comcast too, right?
Yeah, because that's the one.
Because Comcast is two parts.
Okay, so we have a motion,
Yeah.
This is what you're agreeing on.
we have a proper motion and a second, do we have any further discussion?
Well, I have a question, I'll make the motion, but my question is, Karen said that we could add the, park locations at a later time. Maybe we should do that because we don't have the camera equipment right now. Is it really necessary to pay for the parks until we get the camera equipment?
Okay, can I
Yes.
extend on that if you don't mind? What Suncom is doing right now is they're giving us quotes and they're gonna be working with Captain Osprey, as well with the camera situation. They sent me over different types of cameras, and I did send it over to Captain Osprey. There's a list of cameras that he can look at and say yes or no, which ones, that we should be using. It does take a little time to get internet into the park, so my suggestion is to go ahead and get that progress going, because then when you get it in there, the cameras would be there. You would have, it takes.
We don't want this to be 6 months down the road and still not have
So if
cameras.
you
We
get
had cameras
internet in
yesterday.
there, you can get the internet there 2 months down the line, it'll be done, and then you can put the cameras on.
And can you ask them though that for that service, since it's not a live service at this time, however, we know we will do that, is there a cost savings to us by not going live until those cameras are in place?
I can ask them, most definitely, yes.
That still needs to be installed.
Yeah, they have to do the install.
And I sent her the link to Project Noah, which does cameras that they, from Captain Osprey was talking about.
Yeah.
And she sent it out to her if you want to look at it. Because I've been moving to do the service, because then it's a lot cheaper than buying cameras. That happens in the market.
Yes. We just have to,
Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
we're just exploring all options right now on cameras.
okay, so I have a motion and a second, do we have any other discussion? Okay. Karen, if you would do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Excuse me, Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito?
Aye.
Mayor Myers?
Aye. Okay, so, okay, and this will take us to the Fruitland Peninsula Historical Society for partial funding to place a historical marker at the Hubbard House. Mr. Dodge, would you like to make a presentation on this?
First of all, I'd like to state, I think I beat Diane 4 times at the podium tonight, or, moving along, you all have the memorandum in front of you. Our request is for a co-payment of the $3,415 for the historic marker. Coming out to, we're asking for the city to cover the cost of $1,707.50. The Historical Society has been working on this for some time. This is our first marker. When I first came to town, there was a tour of the Morris House, and I got to meet Molly Morris. And she explained to me the detail that she and her husband did in renovating that beautiful house, to the extent of replacing and repairing a horsehair plaster, which is extreme. But from a restoration point of view, it is outstanding. It's a monument to our community, and we're very proud for this to be the first one. Are there any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
I believe there's a application that you're supposed to fill out to apply to do this in Florida. And I don't think it's gonna change anything, okay?
Sure.
But I think all it does is cover cover the house that it's in Florida and that the owners did, you know, it just kind of covers some things. I wanted to, hand this to you. I just didn't get a chance to do
Sure.
that. But I think before we go further, I think we just need to, do that first, again, to kind of apply, to put the marker in place.
We've looked into the Florida Department of State marker application checklist. And there are several complications with it. It is a very slow process. There's no guarantee that we will get it. As far as the design, we must adapt to their design and their logo on top of it.
And that's not important to follow their,
Can I interject? This is a project from the Peninsula Historical Society in the city of Crescent City. Do our own markers, not do the state of Florida big green ones. They would have our logo, or the logo of the Historical Society on it, the name, they would at the bottom, it would say, erected by the Peninsula Historical Society in the city of Crescent City. It'll have a QR code on it, which they don't do on the state markers. If you do a state marker, you have to go through the application process. It goes to Tallahassee, they have to approve it, then they approve the language, and then you can apply for a grant. And if you get approved for the grant, then maybe 2 years later you get the marker. This was kind of a way to fast track the process, which is still not fast, but this is to start. It's something that we were going to do every year. So every May, in recognition of Historic Preservation Month, we're unveiling the marker with a location here in town. And so, of course, the Hubbard House is the only individually listed structure on the National Register of Historic Places. So we thought it would be fitting to start with that. And we've been working on this over a year. It's been a long process. But these markers come from the same kind of forge, or I don't want to say forgery, that's what it's called. The
Foundry.
Yeah, foundry, thank you. I knew there was a word. They're very professional. It's a 80-year-old business that's been in business and it's family owned. We've talked to them directly several times, and it's really beautiful. I don't know, you've got it in color. It has the color of the marker there. There's different designs. They're a little bit, it's not as wide as the state markers are. I think they're cloned a little bit much, but this is more of a square. That's the picture over there.
I'm sure this is beautiful, and everything that the Morrises have done in that house, and of course I adore Molly. I don't know where our funds right now.
exactly.
We're trying to figure out how to pay for a city manager, a city manager hunt. And so I don't know where this funds, it says in here, better place plan, but this really does not meet that criterion, and,
I think it would under educational, and it falls under
it
educational.
could be a stretch. I mean, it could be a stretch. But even our better place funds were $100,000.
Yeah, we didn't realize that was on the agenda.
Yeah,
That was the thing.
so short. Yes, Commissioner Padilla.
Just have the same thoughts. We're not 100% sure it can come from Better Place Plan, and right now, we really have no extra money anywhere. I would like us to, accept the proposal, and, I think we have another, budget item on the agenda. We are supposed to hear from the city manager about our audit, and, also about the city budget and where we are. So I really think as much as I want to go forward with this, I think we need to hear about where we stand financially first, because we don't have any money. We can barely find, as you just said, money to interview for a city manager.
I'm gonna say this though, because people have said they interpret that when we say that. We are not broke.
No.
The city is not broke. We have a very nice cushion that most municipalities don't have the pleasure of having, but we have also said we can't go into that. However, this last year, by us not by us not increasing taxes, it has put us, we're tight. We just, everything is very tight. We did that to try to help out with the residents. We knew they had a lot of other costs. And so that's where we find ourselves. Next year will be different. But right now for this year, so I agree with Commissioner Vito. We accept this proposal and then see if Steve can make any recommendations for another meeting.
So the concept would be to approve it, subject to funding availability, whether it's this year, whether it's next year.
And I don't, when you said that, Mr. Dodge, that does give me some concern because we are committing to that. You're absolutely right. We are committing to that.
It needs to be ordered so that they can make it by name.
And we can't commit to that.
We can't commit to it.
Well, then,
We
the
can't
show will
do it.
slide over to them to make work.
Then we can't commit to that.
And we apologize.
But that's my opinion. I'm one of
Sure.
I'm one of 5 of us, so we will probably, I need a motion here and, so we can take action.
But as much as it pains me to say this, I move that we accept the proposal, but consider, just consider it for funding, at a later date. And I don't think we cannot guarantee funding right now. I think we need to hear from our city manager and our finance director. Because we really, we have a budget and every dollar is spoken for. And we have no idea what we are going to expect. So I don't think it would be responsible for us to make a commitment right now and be misleading.
You have a fiduciary responsibility.
We do.
And I understand that. And I'm delighted to come back each month and request when your financial appearance, clarity is better known.
We just have a bare bones budget this year. And we
Sure.
knew that going into it, that we were gonna have a bare bones budget and
And last year we got a surprise with a surplus, so it may
We did.
happen again this year.
so we did, and maybe that will happen this year. And then as we go through the budget, I'm even concerned with the acceptance, as like he said, when we say acceptance, that means that we will fund it when we find the money. So I'm concerned with that, but we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
What was the motion?
To accept the request and consider it in future at no promised time.
So basically, that's,
I mean, we can, we have a list, everything on the list doesn't get funded.
Yeah.
And so if it does, it does, if it doesn't, it doesn't, but at this point, we don't know enough to make any promises. I just,
okay, so we have a motion and a second right now.
Do they have a second?
Huh? No, I'm sorry, we don't have a second. I'm looking for a second. Okay, then the motion fails for lack of a second. Do I have another motion?
I mean,
Well, then,
Thank you for your consideration. I'll see you next month.
thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for your understanding. We appreciate that. And right now, guys,
My
we
pleasure.
are at about 5 minutes till 10. We either can wrap this up in the next 7 minutes, or I'm going to ask that we have a motion to extend it for
so we make it.
15.
Yeah, I move to extend our time of our meeting until 10:15, so that we can finish our agenda.
Do I have a second? Okay, then failed for lack of a second. Let's get going then. Our financial report update and fiscal year 2023 audit.
Yes, you were provided a copy of the revenue and expenditures up to, I believe it's end of November. It shows for each of the various fund accounts where the revenue and expenditure shows. This is separate and apart from the adopted 2024 budget document, ordinance that adopted. In other words, what you have is a budget, shows each line item fund account. And I think it's around, I forget how many millions it is on the number. But this report looks at each of the revenues coming in, the expenditures coming in for the end of that month. And so the report was provided to you. And so we just wanted to make sure that, and let you know that it was a little bit late because we had some staffing issues in the utility billing department. We had a staff member that left, and so one of their responsibilities was helping to get the water, sewer, utilities, gas accounts in line. And so we've hired a new person. They are going to be starting on Monday, and they were going to be helping Jocelyn to ensure that a greater timing capacity. So it was a personnel issue that we've been dealing with. We think we've got a game plan, and we hope that next month things will be provided a little bit quicker to you as far as the revenues expenditures. In regard to the 2023 audit, you had a representative from James Moore recently to give an update. We reached out to them, primarily Steve, the finance director, to find out where we stood. Since the time that they presented, there were about 3 or 4 specific accounts that had been finalized. They are working on a couple that we know of. And so we were asking to have a time frame, but we know that almost every audit company gets very busy on the next year audit in January. So we've reached out to them. We've told them that they need to move quickly so that we can get the 2 or 3 accounts finalized, and so we've got a complete audit. We have, and I say we, primarily Steve, has reached out to the 3 or 4 different state departments with a cover letter from James Moore letting them know that the audit is ongoing. There is no financial penalty being imposed by those state agencies. And they told us that they would not, as long as we continue to communicate with them the status. And so that's a report as of this month.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Well, we don't really have time for questions, but, okay, it's my understanding from the payroll department that we do get penalized with the insurance funds that come to us for the fire department pension.
We have reached out to them today to just get a status report on what data they actually need to finalize. So I can't specify that there is a specific penalty, but we'll know more tomorrow.
Okay, and then, Mayor, if I may, when do we anticipate knowing how we stand on the closeout, just in terms of our budget from the last fiscal year, that ended September 30th?
Yeah, so the close of fiscal year 2024, Julianne and I are working on it. I'm hoping to have something here pretty soon. She's got a lot to go through. She's been running through the same issues we ran into that come up on the audit with some things. So she's had to go back and do a little bit of research. So she's got to fix things before we can move forward. And I know she's working on it. I know she's put some time on the weekends and what she can. So.
Well, it's in progress.
Yeah, we're moving forward on it.
Well, and we appreciate you, Steve, everything that you've done. You're keeping us going. So don't think this is us pressuring you. I don't think.
Living and breathing.
Yeah, I saw his office.
Sleeps with it, yes.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
You're doing great. We're gonna get you some pictures for it too. Thanks a lot.
That's nothing. It's my money.
Thank you,
I just
Steve.
took pictures, so I'll
Thank
talk
you.
about that.
Thanks, Steve.
City Attorney, do you have any updates?
not.
Good? Okay. Okay, we have any questions?
No. Oh, I have one very important question. We need to confirm that our ARPA funds have been fully committed under contract.
Yes, all of the ARPA funds have been fully committed under contracts. That's correct.
The ones that we approved with Metallic,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, do we have anything else? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move return.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for sitting through this. And a terrific 2025. Can't wait to get there.
Okay.
Okay, where does it go?
Okay, turn it.
Okay, don't place it.
All right.